we basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that?
Hey, I see you two bickering on the world stage. They're trading missiles and memes, turning Twitter into a cage. One's got oil, one's got gas, one's got a cyber army. But you're all just grounded 'cause you're acting out again. You're tossing bombs and missiles like they're Nerf balls in the den. I'm out on the green just trying to get that 18 in. If I hear another "he started it" whine, I'm getting up and you know what that means this time. Who's your daddy now? Gonna turn these planes around. If you don't quit fighting, they'll heat. Russia's got his fists up, China's on the Wi-Fi, hacking all your stuff. Israel and Iran yelling through the wall. Meanwhile, Congress can't agree on anything at all. Just tick-tock dancing, singing Kumbaya. I'm flipping channels, watching chaos on repeat. All my kids are trending but can't keep the peace. If you don't stop fighting, I'm sending a prize. Those B-2s love to fly. Who's your daddy now? Gonna turn these planes around. If you don't quit fighting, there'll be no deals in tariffs and
And welcome to the narrative. The pilot episode. What is happening? Twitter land. What is happening? YouTube land. What is happening? Rumble land. Rumble, rumble, rumble. This is a new show, which you know me by now. Every 6 months I design a new show because I get bored with the old ones. But no, this is going to be the political panel. This is going to be the political panel. And you don't know it, we are streaming live on X. Of course, all 6 of you that are here on X right now, which 3 of us, that makes 3 people that are on X. 4 people on X.
Hey,
Welcome
listen,
in.
I'm on YouTube. Right, I'm representing the YouTubes.
And we're live on Rumble Nation Underground. We're live on YouTube Nation Underground. And also on rebelnationmedia.net. If you guys just want to chill out on the website, great. Give me some traffic over there. Also, whenever this is done, within a couple of days, it'll be uploaded to a bunch of podcasts. Any podcast that you guys listen to, we basically on. And we are now on Pandora. So if you guys have Pandora, you can listen to all of our podcasts, the Triple B and the Narrative, right here on Pandora, which I don't know if Pandora's a thing anymore since iHeart took over, but
Hey, I'll be honest. I used to be big on Pandora. I love Pandora. I actually refused to get Spotify because of Pandora. Then they raised the rates.
well,
Then I
Spotify
said-
raised theirs too.
Then I said, fuck Pandora. And then went over to Spotify because they refused. They even said, they were like, I'm not going to raise our rates. We're not going to raise our rates ever. Oh, but listen, if you want ad free,
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
okay.
well, it's funny with not Pandora, but with Spotify. They started out because if you read the whole story on Spotify, how they basically destroyed Napster. But it took them forever to be legalized, and they had to come up with a revenue plan for all of the studios, like Capitol Records and all of them, to where basically they took 90% of all revenue that came through Spotify. And so Spotify had to go, well, we've got to make something. So it's been $9.99 for the premium service since the day it was created. And it just went up last year to $10.99. So what, 15 or 20 some years it went for $9.99?
Hey, I'll be honest. Pretty good deal for the service they provide.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
pretty
I
good.
mean,
Even they don't pay their artist anything hardly, but
hardly anything.
Yeah. Well, I'm not an artist.
it just gives them exposure.
I'm a consumer.
Now, unless you have a contract like Joe Rogan, then you're getting the big bucks.
Or Metallica.
Yeah. Who's the one that was complaining the last couple of political elections that he was removing his shit from the...
Hand up. My apologies. We have not introduced
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
our new guest, aka new host. Actually, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Another hand up accountability episode. Would you like to introduce yourself? What's your name? Who you is?
Well,
And why you decided to join this motley crew.
my name's Lucky. I decided to join this motley crew because I got a lot of shit to say, and I've been looking for a place to say it. But no, I met Frank, and he introduced me to this, and to be honest, I've always wanted to be on radio. I've always wanted to be, whether even back in the, I'm gonna date myself, but back in the 80s and 90s of the previous millennium. Always wanted to be on radio, and really never, or even just have a podcast, and never jumped. And this opportunity presented itself, so I'm really thank you all for having me.
Oh,
No, thank you.
Hope I can
it
stimulate
brought a
some.
new light out for us, man. We appreciate you.
Yeah, hopefully I can stimulate some good conversation.
From what I've been told by Frank, I think you'll fit in perfectly with the ideology. I call it ideology anymore because that's what basically when you look at the internet and you look at social media and you look at mainstream media, it's all become an ideology. I mean,
Yeah.
Even like with fucking the political parties have become an ideology. It's just, I mean, the what we were like, what me and you were raised on political, it was just left and right. It was red and blue, Democrat, Republican. You know, that's all we knew growing up. I didn't even realize there was 75 other different parties out there until I started, researching all of this.
Yeah, and there were just shades, right? So, there's the blue dog Democrats of old, which those people don't even exist anymore. But yeah, it's just it's completely polarized now. Where in order for me to be in one group, I have to hate the other group.
Yeah,
Right?
dude, that's a good point. Yeah.
Right, and vice versa, and unfortunately, as we're seeing in today's news, right? So Chuck Schumer, they've got the knives out for that guy.
Oh, he's done.
Yeah,
Which he needs to be. I mean,
yeah, I don't disagree with that. However, I will say that there, unfortunately, there is no place for moderates in the Democratic Party anymore.
no. I mean, I don't even think there really is a Jamaican. I mean, so like I said, I'm not conservative. I'm not liberal. I base myself as a centrist, but with this last election, within the last 4 years or the last 6 years now going on, it's really hard to stay centered, because, I mean, don't get me wrong. Clinton, he did some great things as a Democrat. Obama, he did some good things, but he did some very terrible things too with the way he snuck in policies and shit like that. But,
Right.
Some of the older, anything below Obama, Kennedy was a good Democrat. Look what happened to him.
Yeah.
There's been some good Democrats that have done something positive for the country. But this Democratic Party, it's not even, so
Yeah.
the way,
It's gonna
the
be
way,
a struggle for them to even get anything going.
no.
Quite frankly, to overtake anything. But like for me, for example, I spoke to Lucky there before coming in a couple days ago, and I started off as like, yeah, I'm Republican through and through, and then we started talking. I'm like, actually, I'm not at all. I'm not. I'm not because realistically, I'm a free thinker. I'm not actually associated to fucking anybody. I like to learn from other people that have gone through similar experiences, just like majority of other people in the world. We grow up on different ideology as human beings, right? You grew up differently than I did. I grew up in a different family atmosphere than y'all did. I know Lucky grew up in different, if not a little similar situation, but like
Hold on.
everybody.
Hold that thought. I think the vote just came in.
Uh-oh. New news.
Breaking news.
213 to 206. I believe this is the passage of the bill to open the government tonight. So It says a motion to concur in the Senate amendment. So that would have, I'm assuming that's what was, because they were supposed to vote on it tonight. So 209 Republicans, two Republicans said no. We had 4 Democrats jump ship. So, which I guarantee it's the 4 Democrats that aren't,
5.
Now it's 5. So, well, there was 8 Democrats in the Senate that came across. So,
that's time remaining. How did they grow one?
that time remaining, I don't even know why they put that shit on there, because they never follow that time remaining. If you ever get a chance, and I say this to everybody, if you ever get it, because your state house or your state capitol, whichever, they're different, whichever place you live in. I think like in the Commonwealth, it's named something different. But like here, it's the state capitol. Back home in Kansas, where I'm at, it's the state house. So you have the house or the capitol, whichever one. But Eagles. But I do. You have the right, as long as they're not closed. You have the right to go in and watch in the gallery. You are in the balcony, whatever that's called up there. You can go up there and you can watch how they do things. That is your right as a citizen of your state to go in there. That's your house. You have the right to go do that.
Oh yeah. By the way, more votes keep coming in.
I see that.
Yeah.
So, like I said, the time remaining shit it doesn't even pertain to nothing anymore. But yeah, just go in there and watch, because they've all made up their mind before they set down what they were going to do. That's just it. They sit there and they walk around, they chitter chatter, blah blah blah. When their name's called, they either just say yay or nay, and then the clerk reports it yay or nay. But
that lady is wearing a bright pink outfit.
At least the purple headed lady's not in there.
Is that purple or pink?
It looks like a fascia or fascia, whatever.
I can't spell it, so we're not going to call it that.
But I mean, it's a good thing to start off with. Let's start off with this.
Fuchsia. That's what it is.
Fuchsia. That's it. Yeah.
Fuchsia.
Yeah.
Who's got the fupa?
I don't know what made me think of this, but I was watching TikTok today, and somebody put a video on about Tesla reinventing the Furby. You remember the Furby? I don't know if Frank remembers the Furby
with the weird eyeballs and the.
But they had a video. I don't know if it was AI or what, but of them on the little mechanical dog robot they have, and it was the Furby face or the Furby body.
Oh.
And it showed this guy sitting there. It showed somebody with, where they pretend like they're shooting somebody. Let's listen. Let's see what they say.
9. The bill is passed. The motion is adopted.
People are getting
Without
paid.
objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
This is usually where it goes into like the 9,000 hours of debating it, but
reading it. Oh, debating it.
But I don't think they. For 226 to 209, I don't think they'll have a chance of swaying anybody's mind. So it looks like as soon as now it goes to the president's desk, and Trump will sign it with his big.
When you get the house.
Beautiful
big
pen.
Yeah, his big beautiful pen.
Beautiful pen.
And the government will be hopefully reopened tomorrow. Oh,
Good. To be relieved from assignments to the House Armed Services Committee and the House Select Committee on Competition between the United States and the Chinese Communist Party, effective immediately. It has been an honor and privilege to serve on these committees on behalf of my constituents and the American people. Signed sincerely, Mikey Sherrill, Member of Congress.
Oh, is she resigning from a committee?
Without objection, the resignation is accepted.
Cha-ching.
What
do you get tired of winning? Do you get tired of winning?
Right.
What?
So much winning.
What's he say on behalf of the Chinese Communist Party? What?
Because they're all Chinese communists.
What did I miss in that
No.
conversation?
I think she was on the select service committee, and I don't think she liked the idea of what was going on, and so she resigned from the committee. Which, no big deal. She can resign.
Yeah.
They all can resign, as far as I'm concerned. But
I had a joke. I can't say it yet.
so talking about Schumer, so Schumer has been in Congress 44 years, which is 12 years or 38 years too long.
Right.
There's no need for these people to be in office that long. I mean, if the president can't hold more than 2 terms, then these senators and House representatives should not be able to hold 2 terms, more than 2 terms.
I think 8 years is long enough.
I mean, I'm even okay with the Supreme Court being a 12 or 15 year.
Yeah,
Because I mean,
because that would
I feel about
offer.
that.
I'm cool with 8 years though.
for the Supreme
For
Court, I mean,
Congress.
Yeah.
oh yeah, Congress definitely. I mean, I would see 2 terms or maybe even 12 years
Is
at the
that their
max.
term? Is that like their terms? Is like every 4 years they get elected too, or is it every
I
2?
believe
I thought it was every 2.
there's a 4-year and a 6-year.
Yeah.
Oh.
So it's just like the midterms coming up will.
So every president voted in, they can get voted in. And then 6 year.
No, president's only 4 years. They're
Oh,
in
I
for
know.
4 years, and then they can run again if they get elected another 4 years. But that's consecutive, so that's the whole conversation right now that's going on.
Right.
That's the debate. It's just like, okay,
Ooh.
so the Constitution says consecutive years, and everybody's
Yeah.
fighting the fact that the 20, so that's the reason why they're saying that Trump could, why Bannon sits there and says Trump could possibly win again. I don't know. I don't think Trump wants it.
You could sit here and just skip a year and just let Vance like fiddle around.
Ah,
Part of
I
me thinks he's
don't.
just trolling him.
You
I
think?
do not.
What,
fucking
what'd you
want
say?
that.
I said part of me thinks he's just trolling him.
Yeah, he does like to do that a lot. Quite frankly,
Yeah, I feel like that Vance is being groomed heavily.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
like as in, he is not going to be, or he is coming
He is
to be the
being
next
groomed.
person.
Right. So he's being groomed to. He's not like a Dan Quayle who was completely.
Don't know who that is, but I'll pretend for us.
So Dan Quayle was the first Bush's vice president,
Okay.
and he didn't do shit, and he was like completely milk toast. He didn't have a job or a role or didn't accomplish anything.
Uh,
But Vance is being included in conversations
shit.
like with Zelensky,
Yep.
right? Where they had that interaction in the Oval Office where Vance was challenging the president of another company or country, and now and being allowed to do so. And when he kind of snapped back at him, the president was like, "Hey, don't talk to my boy like that."
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a good point, Rebel, because Rebel, if I'm not mistaken, what's your opinion on Vance?
I definitely do not want him to be president.
Think?
No, he is not. He is not presidential. You think Trump is bad? Unless he changes his attitude. And I mean, I know that's why they're going after him now, because it's like like you said, that they're grooming him for it, and they know he's being groomed. But I would really like to see Rubio run.
Rubio.
Yeah, the secretary or the
Secretary of State.
Secretary of State.
Yeah.
Marco Rubio.
Can you bring up a picture of him?
He's pretty.
I know. As soon as I see his face, I'm going to be like, yeah, I already know. But
He
for
was a senator from
people,
Florida.
I mean, he's probably one of the better
He's the
picks.
one of the most outspoken people for Florida, right? He's the one that keeps implementing shit for Florida currently.
No,
Not
that's
right now.
No, that's DeSantis.
Oh, DeSantis. Okay.
DeSantis is the governor.
Different guy. Gotcha.
So no, Mark Rubio is just a straight shooter. I mean, he doesn't milk anything. He's kind of like Trump in a way, but he has a more level head on him than what I think Vance
almost like
does.
a business guy.
Well, he's a politician, but he's also.
Because I always say, like, if you're gonna run an entire country, you need to be a businessman because that's how our country started.
Can't move anymore. So what's happening there is horrifying. We have worked. I think.
I mean,
all the way
he
back
just
to July and August.
He's just got this
on
presentation about
why.
him that
Because there are
he's
in helping these elements
business,
on the ground fighting, and we share many.
and that's all.
concerns
He's
that
all
others
about
do
business. He's
how
all
that can
about.
turn into a nest
He's not
for,
about the political structure.
For jihadists and terrorist activity, but the solution to it is.
But I don't think he falls into the political realm as a politician. I think that's the reason why he had so much flack throughout his whole political
Why is he
career.
wearing a blue tie though? That's.
Nobody.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just
Like
kidding.
that. Like that's what you pulled from that.
I gotta be the young. I gotta be the young group here.
Is he sending subliminal messages? Subliminal messages that he's actually a Democrat.
Well,
he's a
I mean,
Manchurian candidate.
He's two-faced.
I mean, you think about it. I mean, Trump was a Democrat before he, switched parties, and it's just like, I don't know. But I don't know about Vance, man. We'll have to see what he does. He's got 3 more years. We'll see if he shapes up and see if he does anything better. But if I had to choose today, it would not be Vance.
So what do you think about this? I said this back when Vance was picked as the VP candidate. I said that it was going to be a Trump-Vance ticket, and then it was going to be a Vance-Trump ticket, but not Trump, not Donald Trump, not 45, 47, but Junior.
Yeah. Yeah.
Donald Trump Jr.
Is he gonna be old enough?
Oh,
yeah,
Donald Trump Jr. Yeah, Barron is the one that they're grooming to actually lead. Barron's the one that's in college right now. He's Trump and Ivanka.
I thought they had to be 40 years old.
35.
Yeah, Donald Trump Jr. is older than you.
Yeah,
he's like in his 40s.
Yeah,
maybe in his 50s.
You only have to be 35 to be president. There's only 3 qualifications: 35, born natural citizen, and I think it's about it. Barron Trump
Jr.
Donald Trump Jr. is basically the equivalent to.
I'm an idiot. Disregard me. I'm here just for the good times and laughs.
No, nobody's an idiot. It's all educational.
I've already seen his picture now. If you don't know, he's got a mustache. Go look him up for yourself. Don't be lazy.
So Junior was the one that lobbied for Vance to be the VP ticket.
He kind of looks like Vance, but like he looks older. Like Vance looks younger than him, quite frankly.
I just got a text message saying he's 47.
Yeah, I was going to say, I knew he was like in his late 40s, but no, Donald Trump Jr. is the playboy of the family. He took out, he would probably be what a younger Donald Trump was.
Yeah, I can agree.
You know, he's the one. He's the
reason why I'm named Snow.
Yeah.
All right.
He did. Apparently, he did have some of that. I'm not for sure. I didn't go deep. I don't have a deep dive into his background, but no, I know he's like the playboy of the Trump family. I know there's a lot of discourse about the way he acted in his early days and stuff like that. And oh shit, I didn't realize music was still playing.
I didn't hear it.
It was muted, but it was still playing. I don't know. I don't know if I would even, if I'm because I don't vote. Not until they fix the electoral system. I mean, it's just like George Carlin said. He goes, if you vote, you don't have a right to bitch about the election or what's going on. If you don't vote, then you have every right to bitch about it. So I know it's always the other way around. This is like, oh, if you don't vote, you can't bitch. And it's like, yeah, I can bitch because y'all voted stupid.
Right. Especially coming from a blue state. I'm currently in a red state, but coming from a blue state, right? I didn't even vote for Trump the first time.
Yeah.
But I did not vote for the sea hag,
Miss Hillary.
Hillary Clinton.
Miss
I
Hillary.
actually voted for Gary Johnson the first time.
See, this is like people were asking me. It's like when Kamala was running. It's just like because I was pissed that they just threw her in there without no primary. It's like I would much rather see fucking Hillary running again than that thing.
Oh. That was doomed before it even. That was doomed before
that thing. That is
before it even started. And you know that Obama had his fingers all in that.
Oh,
he was the puppeteer on that one. He was
Obama, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was Obama's baby.
Wow.
And it's just like Hillary, Obama was Hillary's baby. So Hillary's the one that pushed him and got him and backed him and everything else and put all the Clinton money into him.
I always said Hillary cannot leave the government. If she leaves the government, all hell breaks loose. Her life is ruined.
She doesn't have anything else. I mean, she'll just do a podcast like everybody else does.
No, I'm saying they will literally kill her off because she knows too much.
No, that's Pelosi. Pelosi's the one that's got the supposed little black book on everybody.
Well, shit, we can't say that on YouTube. Clinton, that was a joke. If you have
for educational purposes only.
Yeah, if you have never watched the live files, that's a joke, insider. Whatever.
It's for educational purposes only.
Yeah, but you can't make jokes about the C word.
Oh yeah, but no,
not the real C word.
No.
I mean, there's just so much. It's just like like with the Democrats. Like I said, the Democrats have had some good people, that did somewhat sort of good for the country up until Obama. Obama screwed some things up, especially allowing. That's the reason why we have the issue we have with media right now is because of Obama. It's because he rescinded the what the hell was it called? I can't remember now.
I don't think that's what it was called for sure.
I'm usually more.
But I will say this, as you guys know, work with Amazon.
Smith-Mundt.
So what was it? Smith-Mundt?
Yeah, the Smith-Mundt Act. Usually, it was basically created back during, I think, World War I. So basically, saying that we were allowed, as the United States was allowed to propagandize other countries, but we were not allowed to propagandize our own people. Through government media. He rescinded that and amended it and said that it was okay to propagandize our own people.
So where all the extremism and stuff started happening around the Obama era that we have sat here time and time again, and the reason why extremism has come to fruition.
Well, extremism in media.
Yeah.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah. Just so happened to be when the great Obama came into office.
Well, and it's just like now, because even though that, media propagandization, sorry, I know that came out wrong, but has always been allowed. I mean, you're always been able to
spell it.
No. You've always been able to tell tall tales and stuff like that to make, but you just have the consequences of, running into defamation, just like we found out, with ABC and now the BBC on Trump stuff, and which I'm, a lot of people are saddened and pissed off about the fact that he's suing all these people, all these broadcasters like ABC and CBS. But the fact of the matter is like they've got away with it for so long of just saying what they want to say when they want to say it and how they want to say it.
Yeah, but if the other people said it the way they wanted to say it, how they wanted to say it, it was a big deal, and they were getting lawsuited.
Yeah, because Fox got lawsuited. I mean, that's the reason why Tucker left and everything else, because he made a comment about Biden or something, and
he got the can, and all of CNN and all these other motherfuckers were sitting here yapping about it.
Yeah,
so
like I said, I mean, there is no real definition of yellow journalism, but what we've set in rules about yellow journalism. But the fact of the matter is, it's like the mainstream media, ever since the first debate that happened between Kennedy and Nixon, the first televised debate, that's where they realized that they could manipulate and change people's minds. I mean, because like I said, even with the FDR and his running mate, they made what's called the Sunflower Girl 30-second promo, and it was about nuclear war. It had this started out with a girl picking, petals off of a daisy, but then all of a sudden she stops at one, and then a nuclear bomb blast goes off in the background. That only aired one time during mealtime. At that point in time, and that was the only time it's ever aired.
Shit.
Or I mean, other than people re-airing it, but I mean, when it came at that point in time, it only aired one time. But that was the kicker that started off propagandizing the people watching TV. So they found out that. We saw it. We see it all the time. I mean, we didn't have social media. Social media right now, like TikTok and Facebook and Instagram and everything else. I mean, we had Facebook, but it really wasn't. It didn't come into the political realm until the 2016 election. It had a lot of what we found out, through congressional hearings and everything else recently, that Facebook, manipulated a lot of people by shoving political ads into people's feeds that were Republican. They were hired by the Democratic Party to do that.
And suppressing Republican ads.
Yeah. And Google's even on the hot seat, and there's still investigations on Google. I mean, Google, that's the reason why there's so much relaxed on YouTube and stuff like that, which you can say is because they got in trouble for doing the same thing during Biden's era. They were sequestering or they were suppressing a lot of conservative voices.
Facebook, for fuck's sake, did it.
Yeah, that's what.
And then they came after. They came after he got elected. Yeah, they were doing that to us too.
Yeah,
the only way I can imagine it is like a gay black man saying it. They were doing that to us too. I'm sorry. Like, I've seen too many Facebook reels, but that's how I imagine how they try to come across to not get in trouble for it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So, I mean, I'm down for Trump suing these freaking agencies. Like I said, the newest one is with the BBC because of an article that they edited out, or a video thing that they edited out. The guy, actually the head of the BBC organization resigned, and he's threatened a big ass lawsuit towards the BBC for it. I'm sorry. It's just like terrorists are the same way. People, yes, it does put a lot of strain on people. Yes, it does put a lot of increase on things. But the fact of the matter is terrorists are used to force people basically into submission, force other countries into submission. It's also a form of income. Every country has a tariff on every country. I mean, it's their their income. Sorry, dogs. But it's just like that. It's just like if you force the hand of a lawsuit with these media companies, and I'm sure if Fox News did the same thing, he wouldn't bat an eye, and he would turn around and sue Fox News just as well.
Yeah.
And Fox
He
News has
doesn't like Fox News either.
no.
He
I
just
mean,
hates CNN.
Fox News isn't like CNN, MSNBC, or NBC, CBS. They are a private company. They're not owned. I mean, I think they're owned by they're not owned by a big conglomerate like ABC and CBS. Paramount buys up all these things, and now this new company coming in, Skydance, is buying up all these media stations. They just bought Paramount, and
Skydance is owned by a Chinese company.
no, Skydance is owned by Larry Ellison's son here in the U.S., the one that owns Oracle.
Oh, well then, good.
And how dangerous is that? I mean, these companies, they create these monopolies, right? And now they have the sole voice, right? They can determine what America sees and hears, and that's dangerous. That's a real big problem. You've seen those clips where all of these different news channels, they literally are in lockstep with each other on the message that they're sending to the American people. And as a viewer in rural America, right now, you think that this news anchor that you've watched for the last 10 or 15 years, that you have a relationship with that person, but do you really? And who's controlling what those people say? And it's these big companies.
That's very true. He's even, I've known Rebel for quite a few years now. He's even stated that same fact. Is like we have grown to know these people, but in reality, we don't know them because over the years things have changed. Other companies own this company that also owns this company, and guess what? They own that person saying that specific thing to you with no repercussion other than the fact that they, the big conglomerate, wanted them to say it like that.
Mm-hmm.
They're being paid to say what those big conglomerates want them to say, and it's a sad thing because what happened to truth telling? The only people that can ever sit here and actually have free speech is us.
Yeah, it's
the people
the ones that aren't
sit
controlled.
here that aren't sponsored to say whatever the fuck to say. So it's really big on people to actually do their own research, actually reach out and listen to the smaller people, right?
Well, and how many spots are being sponsored by Pfizer? Right? How many? Pfizer has ad money in every major market, and so you wonder why people were being silenced in 2020. It's because big pharma has big money, and they were threatening to pull their advertisement money.
Yeah. That's what it's come down
crazy?
to.
Wow.
If you want to see how the country's run, it's kind of because, Frank knows me, and this is one thing you'll get to know me too, is I relay a lot of things on movies and TV shows from back in the day. Now, none of the news shows and none of the new movies really portray much of what goes on in the world, but
Yeah. They could be forecasting.
Well,
but
yeah.
We don't realize it yet.
I'm not talking about The Simpsons. That's still kind of a weird thing that they do that, but it's kind of weird. But I'm starting to believe literally in time travel now. But no, I'm talking about like the movie Whack. Yeah. I'm talking about I bring up the same movie. You want to know how government corruption works? Watch Wag the Dog with God damn, I can't think of his name. Anyways, watch Wag the Dog.
I watched it.
Was that Robert De Niro?
Yes, Robert De Niro and the dude that played Tootsie.
Dustin
Hoffman.
Yeah.
So basically, they created a fake war, produced a fake war, so that they could win, so that the current president, because the current president was dropping in the polls, so they produced this fake war in Ukrakistan or something like that, which is kind
They
of
literally
funny.
made up a fake fucking place.
Yeah, Kristen Dunst played the one of the girls in the promos that they were the 30-second promos they were pushing on social media or on television. So it's just like that does happen. I mean, that's the reason why, like when the Ukraine and Russia war, it's like, okay, is this war really happening? Because it's a striking resemblance to, but going on, there was in the Wag the Dog, it did create a war type scenario in real life in the movie with what was going on, because even though that the United States government was producing this war, this country that they were targeting says no, so they just started coming back in defense. And that's kind of what's like, okay, so we found out that we were involved with the transitioning or wanting transitioning government in Ukraine before Zelensky took over.
Oh, the irony!
We found out over the years of how many people actually started waking up and realizing and started doing a little research that we have put a lot of foreign presidents and leaders in power by creating a coup, just by some false information, and created a promo like on Wag the Dog to create hostility. I mean, even if you look at it, Vietnam was that. Vietnam was a propagandized war.
Yeah.
Yep.
You wonder where all that fake money went for condoms in Africa.
Yeah.
It's to the CIA so they can create coups in other countries. There you go.
I mean, look at Desert Storm is another thing, shock and awe and all that stuff. We found out later on that the mainstream media was being fed information from the White House that was totally false, and there's a good movie about that too that shows a lot of things that made me do a lot of research and look at it. And it's got Matt Dillon in it, and it only aired in like 900 TV or 900 theaters when it came out because it was too realistic. Let's see, what was it called again? I'm really bad at remembering shit.
It's funny because that the other podcast that I was watching the other night, it's funny how you talked about how Thomas Edison created this monopoly on the movie industry in New York.
Yeah, the film mafia.
By leveraging patents.
Yep.
Yeah, that was really interesting. I thought that was great.
Yeah, I had to watch the whole. I had to watch the whole series in one thing because usually I like watch one. It's like, okay, I'll watch it later. No, I had to watch the entire because it's like, you got to be kidding me.
So
yeah, I didn't even believe you.
That's how what's his face? Tesla. It's how Tesla got its start. Is that once he started doing that shit, Tesla left and started his own.
Oh, Nikola Tesla.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nikolai.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's like he was actually,
his own AC. So it was like AC versus DC, and I'm pretty sure that's where they figured out the musician's name, ACDC.
And the whole thing with Tesla is that he got too advanced for what the government thought the public was ready for.
Yeah.
That's the reason why they shut him down. Because when he died, the government seized all of his research.
That's crazy.
All of his research.
But the government's here to help.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Right.
What did I say to you the first time I spoke to you? Yeah, they tickled his balls, all right.
Yeah. He created the first Wi-Fi. He created the first land-to-ship communication through airwaves. He created energy through, because see, that was the whole thing back then. Even back then, if you go back, like I said, if you don't know your history, and a lot of these young kids don't, and It's because it's not taught. It's not taught in school. So I don't blame them for not knowing, but it's not taught in school.
Wait a minute. So you mean to tell me that it's not taught in a school, that the curriculum is determined by the government?
That has changed rapidly over the last 4 years, 5 years.
I'm sorry.
Years.
Shocker.
Yeah. Because I mean, if you're even thinking about it, it's like I mean, even though my wife's a teacher, but the fact of the matter is the education system. You know, I went through 12 years of the education system. I went through 4.5 years of higher education, not traditional higher education, but I went through the 4 years of higher education, and the fact of the matter is it's like, but school was boring to me because it never taught you anything. You know, I wasn't going to be a scientist. I wasn't going to be a mathematician. So I didn't believe that I needed to, I mean, I passed all my classes, but I just never was there. I just didn't have the hours, the 180 some hours you have to put in every year. But I passed all my finals and everything else with flying colors because I already knew the shit.
Because you're really into the rainbow flag for sure.
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You left it up in the air.
But don't get me started about talking about how different genders learn. Because I don't even think traditional schools are fair to boys. You know, for me, they made me sit down and shut up and pay attention and do all this stuff and then go home and do homework. And I was in a million different places, but I wasn't at school in my mind, right? Like if you ask my mother today, she'll tell you that I don't know where he was, but he wasn't at school mentally. But I would come home, I wouldn't even do homework because homework wasn't even a thing. And then I would go to school and I would pass the test and I'd pass with a C. So
well, it's just like it's just like because me and my wife, she was going through school at the same time when I was in college for my psychology degree, and she would get pissed off at me because she's one of these that are she can retain the information. She just freaks out when it comes to tests.
Yeah, thank you.
But the fact, and it would piss her, it would piss her off because we'd have a reading assignment, we'd have posts, we have everything else. So I'd get those all done. And then when it came down to the test, we had to have all the tests done by, it was usually a 5 to 7 page essay, had to be turned in by midnight on Sunday. I would sit down at 7 o'clock on Sunday, knock out 7 pages and pass with a B or an A. It used to piss her off. And it's just like, once you learn how to write, and that's just it, they want you to learn how to write a certain way. You have to write collegiate, and you have to do it's just like, why? You're not going to use that in real life.
I don't like being told how to do shit if I already know how to do shit without you telling me how to do it.
Yeah.
I know that's a weird concept for most people, but I like to do it how I want to do it because you didn't tell me how to do it that way.
Yeah.
But I also got the same answer, but it was
like the Common Core math.
Yeah,
we have to go through. You break down what 2 plus 2 actually is. You got the right answer
for sure, but you didn't explain it the way that I fucking wanted you to explain it.
Look, don't tell me about the labor pains. Just show me the baby.
Exactly.
Yeah. How'd you get there? Because I cheated. Is that what you want to hear? I cheated. I used a calculator that you took from me in the beginning of the class.
But take a little break. If you guys, thank you guys for coming in on X and Rumble. And if you guys are on Rumble, I don't know because it doesn't show me Rumble stats. But if you guys are on Rumble, welcome in. Here's the Nation Underground. This is the narrative. Sorry, on the Nation Underground. Yeah, and thank you for the people that are on YouTube. Make sure you guys hit that like, share, and comment in the chat. If you guys hear anything you want to, both sides, I don't care. We don't discriminate on your your party affiliation. So
yeah, I thought you said race.
I was about ready to.
Almost. He was about.
I'm about ready to. But your party affiliation, we don't care. Yeah, race, gender, party affiliation, I don't care.
Sexual orientation, man.
Yeah. I mean, if you're a furry, bark in the chat. I mean,
But I will make fun of you.
yeah, I'll bark
no
back.
holds barred there.
I'll bark
Yeah.
back. Hope you can understand.
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
But no, I mean that's what I'm saying. Going back to the whole thing with the education system of mine and Lucky's days, anyways, was not what your education system. There was a change. There was a break in the system, and everybody thought they could do better. People were, they needed to teach the kids. But then you get a little older, and you go back into your own research and found out that education was created off of a program to make workers and not critical thinkers.
Didn't I just tell you that?
Yeah.
Frank, didn't I just tell you that the other day?
Mm-hmm.
This
Why do I think y'all
system-
would get along? I'm telling
this system, they don't want thinkers. They want doers. They want workers.
Yeah,
The whole system was created to create workers, not thinkers.
exactly. And that's where I might get my big banks theory. That's why I think we all
Matter of fact,
get along.
I had a conversation with a colleague of mine last night for about an hour and 45 minutes, and it was really about how even in an entrepreneurial space, right? They're trying to create robots. They're trying to create doers. They're trying to create producers. They're trying to create, like you said, workers. And for me, especially in an entrepreneurial space, you're not going to tell me how to win. I'm not going to apologize for winning.
No.
Right? So if that means I got to think outside the box, if that means I got to take unconventional means, I am going to figure out a way.
The way I want to do it in the most efficient manner.
And by the way, Thomas Edison, for example, as an entrepreneur, right? How many times did he fail before he had an invention be successful? Hundreds
of dollars,
thousands of times, right? And if you're not a thinker, you're going to be shoehorned into a system of failure, really, and that's just not how I'm wired.
No, I totally agree. And it's like I said, it's one thing as a kid, a teenager getting out of high school, you don't think about that stuff. But the fact of the matter is now is like we have so much social media that over 60% of what's the total? I mean, I don't want to lie.
I couldn't stand school though. I couldn't. Like sitting there
because you're a boy,
listening to this lady with her purple hair tell me our history. Okay, that's no joke. Like it literally happened, and I looked at her, and all I could think was, "That's not our history." Like, tell me how you know our history. Were you there? Did you live that? What evidence can you provide me? Like, I know at 14, 15 years old, you're not normal for thinking that way, right? But once you get past the high school days and you pass your class with just enough to pass, and you get outside and you learn you were fucking right to think that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And people were so afraid to counteract the points that they were making. And I wish I could go back and be like, you were wrong. Why are you teaching us that? Because that didn't happen the way you just preached it to me that it happened.
Yeah.
Because I grew up, I know some of you guys know this, but I grew up in a very militarish Civil War time area. But I grew up near Antietam battlefield of like the Civil War, right? Just outside of Gettysburg. I was in all that area. So we learned a lot about that war. And the more I grow up, the more I learn about it, and what they taught was just like the bare bones. They didn't actually teach the details on any of those types of wars. And I love history. You guys know that about me, but I love history.
So when I was in the Navy, by the way, one of the things I forgot in my introduction is that I retired from the Navy in 2009. Um, I have been out almost as long as I was in. But when I went to take some college classes while I was in the Navy, and I took a class. It was a required class. You had to take a history class, right? And it was a class called History According to Mike. Mike was the professor.
Oh,
Right. Right.
Jesus.
So, History According to Mike. The coolest thing about this class was that, and now at this point in my political journey, I was fucking Rush Limbaugh right. Like I was, if it ain't red, it ain't right. And I sat in this class, and you hear all these stories about, oh, these liberal professors this, and liberal professors that, and I sat in this class like this. I was waiting for that motherfucker to just give
He
me.
was wearing his red lucky hat. All right.
Yeah, yeah. I was waiting for this dude to give me just some indication that he was a liberal.
Oh
And
yeah.
I went through the entire course, and I could not figure it out.
Mm.
I could not figure out whether this cat was liberal or conservative, libertarian, whatever. It was like an 8-week course, and I will say that is the sign of a great teacher.
I was going to say that. Yeah.
And by the way, when I had an opportunity to take an elective class, I literally took history with him again. And this dude
That's
was crude.
awesome.
He was crude as shit. He was talking about poll tests and things like that, like talking about how elections were engineered to keep the people in Appalachia, right,
Yeah.
from voting, and those people, he actually called them pig fuckers.
Oh my God.
Like this.
Listen, I
So
live in the Appalachian Mountains. I'm not.
I don't know if that's your people.
That's not my people.
Yeah,
Maybe.
your
I mean, if
people.
you
We
look at my
know
face,
now.
maybe
We
it's
know.
all
We know
piggy.
now.
But
Anyway, the point is that
Oh.
yeah, that's some deliverance shit right there.
Yeah.
God, that's crazy work.
But yeah, I could not figure out for a 16-week period whether or not he was a liberal or a conservative, and that's a sign of a good teacher.
I respect it. I
Yeah, me
really
too.
do respect it because I think I had a high school teacher that was that way, and I really think that's where I actually invested a lot of my mental fortitude in high school. Well, when I was in tech school, because she was really good at that. Like she could explain it in a way where it wasn't political, but it also was. Like she could explain it on both sides of the aisle, and I think, man, if I would
I
have
mean,
went back into that school, I could probably think of her name, but I can't, man.
if you ever think about it, it's like during junior high and high school. And I don't know if they do it nowadays, but I know they do it in high school. But you learn about elections because you elect your student body president. You elect your secretary, the vice president, and all that for your high school. So you learn about the electoral process, but you don't learn about
I drew
how.
middle fingers on their fucking elections shit. I'm just gonna be honest.
But you don't learn how the actual process of a government election works, because a school election doesn't have all the politics, because you're not allowed to bash the other person because, that's just wrong being a kid. You don't bash other kids, don't bully them, blah, blah, blah. But there's a lot of...
Did you ever have those debate classes?
Mhm.
Did you?
I didn't go to a debate class.
No, but did you have the ability to do it?
Yeah,
Was
We had debate, yeah. You could I mean, in my school anyways, you had two choices. They had a speech class where you learned to write fucking speeches all day long, or you had debate. So there was two different things. That you either could go to one to get the credit, or you could go to the other to get the same credit.
Okay. So
My dumbass went to speech.
Mine too.
It would have been badass
Where I learned how to write.
You know? Imagine now where we'd be debating. But I didn't ever get that offering. But there were people from outside the school that would come in and be like, hey, we're going to have a debate situation. We need to practice.
Mm.
And then, like, we would be the opposition, even though I might agree with it. And we'd have to figure out argumentative points. I can almost make it 100% sure that schools these days don't have that, right? That builds empathy. That builds opposition to your point of view. You cannot debate the wrong point on behalf of yourself, even though you think the same way that other person thinks.
It's hard.
Yeah.
Right? It's something that I think my generation was the very last generation that was ever given that opportunity. Like, I might stand on business when I say that. Like, I really do think I might be the last generation that was given or fortitude that opportunity to do that.
Yeah, well, they're raising intellectual idiots now, intellectual midgets.
It's this
anymore.
It's this and this.
Yeah, too many keyboard warriors out there. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm a keyboard warrior when it comes to Twitter.
But that's what they want.
But I'm more of a troll when it comes to, because I will get into Ed and Brian Krastenstein. Just fucking, I love troll. Even though, I mean, he's answered me once or twice, but it's just like
I had to block them.
It's just like you've got to.
They got the R word in them.
But it's just like so many, and it goes to like the one of the main subjects for tonight is like the social media manipulation. We saw this with the New York City election. When it found out that a high percentage, I don't remember the percentage. If you guys want to look it up, you can look it up. But there was a high percentage. I think over 80%. It was either 60 or 80% of the voters were women. Most of them weren't even like lifelong or long residents of New York City. They were like a short time residency. But the fact of the matter is it's like social media helped. I'm not going to lie. Social media helped Trump win because he utilized TikTok. He utilized podcasts. He utilized all that thing. Madami did the same thing Trump did. And I think if Kamala got out there, I think it would have wrecked her even. I think she would have lost even more than what she did by not going out there.
Yeah.
Because she is not she doesn't fit into the generational hype of social media. She's not one of those people.
So can somebody explain to me who this motherfucker is? All right.
Mamdani?
Yeah, because okay. I haven't paid attention. This is the way I like it. I don't want to know shit until I know shit. So my understanding from an outside perspective, because that's what I like to bring into these conversations, is
here, let's learn.
9/11 was brought up. No. I want to put this out there before I learn anything else.
No, I just
that way I'm learning.
This is the intro to the segment. This song fucking it sticks in your head, but that's the reason why.
The name is Mamdani. M-A-M-D-A-N-I. The name is Mamdani. M-A-M-D-A-N-I. You should learn how to say it. M-A-M-D-A-N-I.
But no, I mean, that's what I'm saying. But go ahead. I'll go ahead with my speech.
I have a
afterwards.
bad taste in my mouth already. I don't even know.
Yeah, I think I just threw up in my mouth a little bit.
makes me want to chug about 18 more White Claws. All right, I'm good. God damn it, man.
So here's the deal.
Who is this guy?
He is an
Why?
America hater. Really, he hates everything that America stands for, and because they manipulated the TikTok algorithm, they're saying that they didn't, but TikTok is denying it. But TikTok or the algorithm was manipulated, and he literally went out to, like what Rebel was saying, is that he went out to women, primarily not Democratic voters, and I don't know. Was there a question as to whether or not they actually even had residency in New York City?
I know there was a bunch of like I said, you can't believe what you see a lot of times on fucking social media nowadays because people say it just for the engagement. But there was a few videos that popped up and circulated that sit there and said that, I'm not even from here, but I'm going to vote for him, 6 times or something like that. And it's just like, it just goes to show you how weak the voter registration rules are too.
Right.
I'll be honest. I've been around folks like this. Have y'all ever ate duck?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Not that I know of. I've eaten rabbit, but
yeah, I've eaten duck.
Okay, that might be a little racist. I'm not going to say that. Never mind. We'll keep moving forward. But I will say this:
No, it
I've
was
worked
not
for
Bugs Bunny.
somebody that likes a lot of duck, and it's not meant to be that facet, but they have the same mentality, and I just don't like any of whatever the fuck you just showed me. I'm out on all that. Okay, I'm out. I'm glad I don't like New York.
So it says
I hope it falls on his face.
Huh?
Yeah, I was hoping he would trip over one
yeah.
of those painted lines on the ground.
No, I mean, I hope New York falls on his face. I hope it truly turns into Gotham City.
Yo, we gonna be Batman? Can we collectively be Batman?
I am
Can we get a
Batman.
Batcave?
I am
Can we make
Batman.
that happen?
But it says Madani's strongest voter support came from the young voters, captured 78% of the voters under 30 and 66% of the voters under voting age of 30 to 44.
Yeah, because they don't have jobs.
It says young voters made up 11% of all ballots casted, represented far higher youth turnout than previous NYC mayoral election, in contrast to Andrew Cuomo, which I mean is the same thing with like Trump. Trump had the highest, Gen Z turnout.
Yeah, but they can't get jobs at McDonald's, so they have plenty of time.
I mean, it's going to turn into Mom Donald's.
Yeah, because he's going to cease
whatever the fuck he said.
Because he's going to cease the means of production.
Yeah.
So are we getting cows? We're not.
It said recent transplant overwhelmingly supported Mandani. 81% of those who lived in New York City less than 10 years voted for him. American voters lived in the city less than 5 years. He won by a margin of 70 points.
Wow.
He also captured 55% of the voters who lived in the city over 10 years but were not born there, while native New Yorkers favored Cuomo, which, I mean, we all knew Cuomo wasn't going to get it because of his stint as governor. He fucked up as governor.
Well, that in and of itself was he got railroaded out. I don't agree with anything. I don't agree with one thing that he did during COVID, but he got that was a slander job.
Shit show.
Yeah. But I think if they had somebody else with a higher caliber and a higher quality and better policies, I think, or more realistic policies. And why I say realistic, because Mamdami's policies are not realistic for New York City.
No.
Because 99% of his policy requires on state approval, and Kathy Hochul, which is a governor in New York, already said that she was not going to back a lot of them. But will she bend the knee to him? That's what the question is now, because, I mean, she did back him in the primaries. But
well, she has to.
Yeah. So yeah, because it's the
That'd
only.
be,
It was
that'd be
either
good to see
him or
back then.
Como, and she didn't like Como. So, but it's all identity politics now. I
Right.
mean, you even look like with the whole Biden Trump thing. I mean, Biden and Trump, the whole Trump thing and Kamala, it was all identity. They put Kamala in there to take the place of Hillary's, failed attempt. And the fact of the matter is, it's just like, I mean, I'm not misogynistic and everything else, but until you clean up the United States government, Congress, we will never see a woman president. And until you can convince all these big businesses that back and the PACs and everything else, we will never see a woman president. That's just my opinion. But I'm not saying that they cannot do the job. I'm just saying that with the
be
current atmosphere, you're not going to see one.
current atmosphere, of course. But what if it has something to do with the outlook of outside of us, outside of our country? Because let's be honest,
Foreign policy is a big thing.
Western world, we think we're the center of the universe. But in reality, there's a lot more people over yonder.
Yeah.
So
And I mean, don't get me wrong.
Think that has something to play on? Okay, our government, our world, our United States is made up of all the different types of people from all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's been 200 years in the making, of sure, but we still have people coming in overseas, getting visas, getting green cards. All this bullshit that keeps coming to fruition is because everybody comes in with ideals from other countries that they have been brought up on, and this is where I say bringing up comes into play here. Mbambi or Mombadis or whatever the fuck his goddamn name is.
Mufasa.
Yeah, fucking goddamn guy is fucking floating in on a goddamn carpet. I don't know, but there's a lot of different people from all across the world that have come into the United States. That's what makes the United States so great, is that we can come together to discuss things. But do you think that's a lot of our problem?
Well, the different cultures and everything else.
Yes, because before
I mean,
we only had UK, we only had Irish coming over, right? We had a foundation of like specific types of people. Now we have everybody that is able.
I don't think the immigration status really. I mean, I think everybody has. I mean, we see that with like Somalia. I mean, you got Ilan Omar, the Somalian that took an oath to become a citizen of the United States, saying that she would, reject all other citizenships, and then turns around and makes another oath when she became a House representative to sit there and take an oath to pledge to the country, and turns around and still doesn't pledge to the United States. She pledges her allegiance to Somalia.
So how is that fucking legal? Kick her out.
It's not. She's been censured and been removed from a lot of. I think she's been removed from like the foreign.
It's the same rule for us to go into another country.
Oh yeah,
but it's not, because of the culture of tolerance, right? Because
I have no tolerance for that bullshit.
So I know that we're not talking about religion, but I heard it said one time in a sermon that tolerance is not. So what's the opposite of love?
Hate.
What's the opposite of love?
Hate.
No. The opposite of love is nothing. Like if I love you, hate is completely different.
I just don't know you.
Right. But tolerance, if I'm tolerant of your beliefs, then that is. I mean, if I'm tolerant of your sin, if I'm tolerant of whatever, then the absence of love is tolerance.
Mm.
I have heard that. Yeah.
Okay.
You see,
Yeah, that
you
makes
see what I'm
sense.
saying?
Yeah.
So love is one thing, and then the absence of love is tolerance. And
Yeah.
because we have been taught in this country through
Many,
whatever,
many
through
years.
through punishment, whether it be cancel culture or whatever, or is you're supposed to be tolerant. Well, I guess what? I'm not tolerant of people's beliefs that go against America.
Yeah.
Just not. Just not going. Not
Well,
going to. Not going to fake it.
and I
Just
think
can't do it.
that's the reason why the young voters are coming out so much is because that's what they've been. It's what they've been conditioned to learn, and especially now in the last, since 2018 and 19, when TikTok, the 30-second dopamine hits, because that's all it takes. It's just like, coming from, because I come from gaming streaming, just like Frank does, and stuff like that, and that's one of the things that you try to get your, because we both try to help young streamers and stuff like that get on board with things. It's just like the first 3 seconds of your stream is what matters, because that will determine, if somebody likes you or not. That's why when you see a good podcast or something like that, it's usually when you hear at the beginning of a podcast or something or an audio book, there's always what they call a hook.
Mhm.
And that hook is supposed to be the one that like blows your or attracts that first 3 seconds of your subconscious to reel you in to see the rest of the podcast or the rest of the book could be shit, but you're going to be listening to at least 90% of it to where engagement's going to start kicking in.
That's why
just to
I
see if
love
it changes.
screaming crazy off the wall shit there.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just like, and that's what's happening now with like TikTok, especially. And you got to think about it. You're talking about, where they said that the algorithm might have been manipulated. There's a good chance of it because the algorithm is still controlled by China right now. So because that deal hasn't gone completely through yet to where Skydance is going to be buying TikTok supposedly. And then because right now the data centers are housed in Oracle, which is Skydance's poppy. His daddy's the one that owns Oracle. So, and then when we take control of 90% of the algorithm or 80% of the algorithm to correct it, who's to say that, because Oracle and everything else have government contracts. Skydance, I'm sure, probably has a government contract too, somewhere down the line for something. Who's going to say that that the United States government is not going to transform that algorithm to, brainwash, since it's so Skydance is basically a conservative company. So what's going to say that Skydance isn't going to tweak the algorithm, just like Elon does with X? He tweaks it to whatever side of the bed he wakes up on in the morning.
What if I told you everything
lean
has
that
been
way.
a scam since the beginning of the United States?
Well, I know the American Dream's a scam. It's an American Dream's an advertising scheme.
Does that defer you a little bit from big banks, little banks?
I mean, yeah,
TikTok?
it's all about money. Everything's about money. If anybody, I don't care what people say. It's just like you can't function without money.
So does that defer you for your damn opinions out there, ladies and gentlemen?
I mean, it's just like
Just wanna
also,
believe
it's just like who's
who you're
getting paid.
watching on
You know,
TikTok?
who. Okay, so you have a struggling creator that wants to boost their views. Because I've noticed that I went live on TikTok for the first time in a long time last night, and it actually sends you information to pay. Oh, if you pay $24.99, it will boost your views 500. Or if you pay $34.99, we'll boost your views to 1K. Or if you pay $59.99, you'll boost your views. It's under advertising, but
hand up, brother.
yeah. So you're buying
Guess
viewers.
how Carbon started.
Yeah. So you're buying viewership. So
Because
okay.
they used to promote that shit on TikTok
Mhm.
with the Apex custom lobbies.
Yeah.
That's the exact reason why Carbon even got any sort of name.
Yeah.
That's the only
So
reason.
I mean, it's the same thing, because as long as you have a compelling hook, well, and not only that, I mean, they could push your views out there, but the fact of the matter is getting that hook and compete and continuing with some type of
which was the customs that nobody
Yeah,
else was
yeah.
able to get to.
Yeah, because you had the
Right.
keys.
We
Before
had
they
keys.
gave everybody keys.
Correct.
But no, that's what I'm saying though. It's just like, so you have all these young people that are on TikTok. I mean, it's just like with X. There's only an estimated 50 million users, U.S. users. That's just U.S. There's only an estimated 50 million users on X daily. So that's not a lot of coverage when you think about it. The over 100 million users that are on TikTok, And the fact of the matter is that
337 million people in the U.S. So 50 million on Twitter. Let's be honest. Twitter's been in here for a long time, brother.
Yeah, I mean that's just an average everyday, consistent use. Yeah, consistent use.
So like, even if you open the app real quick, scroll down, get the refresh and see whatever's that counts.
Yeah.
So but it's not consistent use on like the period of time that you use to watch it.
Yeah.
TikTok, on the other hand, and hand up accountability on this, I hate TikTok. I'm not an imbecile. I don't sit there and watch all those. I do watch my Facebook Reels.
I watch TikTok quite a bit.
I'm a little old school, a little bit, right? I watch everything that's old on Facebook. That's how I watch my videos.
But the funny thing about TikTok, I think we discussed this before on the other podcast, but the deal about TikTok's algorithm is it's designed to use. So right now it is designed to use your facial recognition through your front camera of your phone. The algorithm picks up. It uses your front.
This is how I look at my phone.
Yeah,
so
it doesn't.
Every time they just see the upside down.
It doesn't matter though, as long as you have an impression or everything else. If it's because it's got to use facial recognition to put all the little fancy shit all over your face. It's like Snapchat. It's got to use the filters. It's got to use facial recognition for filters. Yeah. But it also uses it to determine what you like and don't like on your feeds. So if you scroll, because right now, because I fucking dumbass started responding to the blue-hearted people on TikTok, I get a shit ton of fucking left-wing crap on my TikTok, just like I do 90% of my social media. You think I was a left-winger because 90% of my ex is left-wing. Because I respond to left-wing
people.
Left-wingers, liberals, Democrats.
Blue-hearted, blue-haired.
Blue-hearted. If you see a blue heart in the description on TikTok, they're a liberal. So,
no idea. See, this is what I mean. I'm not even on TikTok.
So I went into my TikTok the other day. I had 87 unread messages from my daughter and my wife.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
I don't look at my messages.
Holy shit! I was like,
I got a group chat with your daughter and my wife. I don't ever.
Hey, by the way, so what's everybody drinking tonight? I know he's drinking green beer.
No, I'm in Jim Beam honey.
Are you again? Still?
Yeah, I'm dosing it tonight though. I'm not drinking an entire half of mug full.
Green beer.
Can't advertise that shit. Get that shit off here. We're on YouTube. You can't promote that. But
it's green beer.
You can't show the label.
Nobody can ever find green beer.
If Jason Kelsey's watching.
Jason.
But
can you get us on Amazon Prime, please?
Oh, we can if I pay for it. Hell, I can get us on Roku if I pay for it. But no, that's what I'm saying. It's just like the TikTok with the algorithm. That's the reason why the United States wants the algorithm so damn bad. Is because I can see that, like you said in the beginning, lucky about rumors of them manipulating the algorithm. Like I said, China owns the algorithm right now. China is probably, even though they're a socialist government, because everybody goes, oh, they're communists. There's no such thing. There's not one single communist country in this world. There is,
because if enough of their people say something,
yeah,
they'll change their point of view.
yeah. The only
Otherwise,
one
they
that
would
the
just
only one that
murder everybody.
yeah
But
the
they'd
only one that
rather-
tilts anywhere close to communism is North Korea.
Yeah. That's true.
The rest of them are socialists because even back in the Mao generation, you know, the early Mao days of China, you know, he was a hardcore socialist. But if you see what he did to his country, he killed millions of people, of his own people, starving them to death because socialist is a government-run ideology. So that's why I'm saying people don't understand what socialism actually means. Now, everybody's like, you know, oh, these social programs. Even Joe Rogan, I got pissed off when he said that, and I think somebody should take it, should community
Say
note
that
his
again.
ass.
What do you say?
Oh, social. He sat there and said that our fire departments and our police departments and stuff like that are socialist programs, they're based on socialist ideology, and they're not. They're
People's R word. So I don't like saying that, but that's stupidity. Those programs were built to help people.
Okay, I just figured out what the R word means.
So
I thought
I mean,
you'd eventually, because I seen you get a little
I was like-
confused. You're like, what's that mean?
so even though most fire departments and police departments and everything else are run by municipality control, but the fact of the matter is you still have voting power. You still have a lot of things that a true socialist organization or a true socialist utility would not have. You know, so it's just like in most fire departments, you can't say fire departments were a socialist ideology because fire departments were first integrated by private industry. You know, back, you know, when fire departments were out, the cities didn't own the fire departments. You know, a lot of times, a lot of the bigger cities,
It was
the
just
healthcare.
run for people.
Yeah, a lot of the bigger cities back in the day, even their fire department, or not their fire departments, but like their ambulance services and everything else, they were independent companies. Our ambulance service here in our metro is an independent company.
Hey,
It's not
can I
run by
ask
the
you-
state. It's governed by the state, but it's not owned by the state.
So let me ask you this, because this would go for a lot of different industries that we think are corrupt. Do you independence independent? What's that word?
Independent?
Yeah, like, would you rather them just be independent, or would you rather it be state run?
Well, that's what I'm saying. So it's just like,
You rather pay a subscription to make sure the fucking police in the or let's just say for the fire department to show up. Would you rather pay a subscription to them? I'm already paying a subscription to Prime Video.
well, I mean, technically, if you look at some of your utility
$35
bills,
a
you
month
probably
to come
are
over and
you
feed my
probably
house.
are paying. If you look at some of your utility bills, you probably are paying subscription for some of your emergency services.
Yeah, so
It's like we pay on our light bill or
guess
our
what?
city water bill. We pay
Why are-
$25. We
why
pay
are my taxes paying
$25.
towards that too?
I think we pay $25. We pay $25 for IMSA, which is the metro ambulance service, but we have a local ambulance service here that we don't use IMSA, but we still pay IMSA because it's a state.
So again,
But
would
so-
I'd rather sit here and pay such and such to a private entity to handle that. This is a good question, I think, because I really truly think it's a good thing for government involvement in some issues, but it also depends if you're in a rural area.
Yeah.
So I am in a rural area, and we had, past tense, a volunteer fire department.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, my town is so small that there is not even a stop sign on the main road.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, then government came in. When I say government, I mean the county, and they added a brand new fire department almost in the exact same spot where the volunteer fire department was. Right. So, And I've taken a tour of that fire department, and it is spectacular. It is state of the art. It is great.
Was it worth your price increase?
I don't know. I to be honest with you, I'm from the government. We're here to help. Worst 7 words ever.
But then you think about it, it's just like, okay, so if the fire department, police departments, all this stuff are socialist, the school system's a socialist run community or a socialist run organization. I mean, you think about that because they're all government funded. Even though they're taxpayer funded, but the government's the one that distributes the funds. So, technically, they're government funded. And they're required by state law to teach a certain curriculum. So, why are they not calling schools a socialist ideology? That's just it. So, a true socialist company or a true socialist is an ideology. It's just like they try to say, like the Netherlands, Cuba, and all them were socialist economies. They're not socialist economies, they're capitalist economies. Because a socialist economy means that the citizens wouldn't benefit from the income that comes through, even though Cuba's a little on the shaky side. But, there's a lot of things, and these kids don't understand, when you sit there and say socialism, and even though I don't think Mondami's, I don't think he's he calls himself a democratic socialist, but the fact of the matter is that he's not a true socialist in the word. He's using some of the ideologies of socialists, like Karl Marx and everything else, because Karl Marx was a socialist.
Right. Yeah, I think what's happening here is, are you familiar with the Overton window?
I think I started hearing more about it here lately.
Okay, so the Overton window is basically, a specific set of social norms that are acceptable. And what happens is they start moving that window, and they move the window to the left or whichever direction until somebody screams, until somebody protests, until somebody has a problem with it, and then they back it off, either 1 or 2 steps until you stop screaming. And once those set of social norms are acceptable, they do it again, and they move it until somebody screams, and they back it off some. And now what happens is what was normal, Rebel, when you and I were kids. I don't know how old you are, but I'm 54.
Too.
You're 52? Okay. So when you and I were kids, the social norms have been moved so far past where our grandparents would have thought was normal or acceptable. So that's what's happening in New York, right? He may not be a big S socialist, right? But what he's doing is he's moving that Overton window just a little bit until the word tracks he uses, the policies that he's promoting, whether they get through or not, become normal.
Thing.
Right. Yeah,
Right.
exactly. And
it's like dumbing down public conversation to
I don't know
be
if it's
okay.
necessarily dumbing it down. What it's doing is it's changing how socially acceptable these crazy ideas are
communicated about, right? Like they're still communicated about.
Right, but they're not dumbing them down. It's literally an indoctrination.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a better word. Yeah, that's a better word.
It's people. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think people are dumb. I just feel like they've been A, indoctrinated, and B, that they have been scared into this cancel culture of America where they don't say shit against the new
societal norms, like you were saying earlier.
New societal norms. Exactly.
No, there's no stupid people out there. There's just uneducated and lazy.
Right. Yep. And the problem is that they're
Discuss
typically
that.
the same person.
No, I mean, there's really isn't. There's no stupid people out there. I mean, I
mean,
there might be
I've
some
talked to
ignorant.
some.
There might be some ignorant people out there, but that the ignorance comes down to the fact that they're lazy and they're
There's some R
uneducated.
words out there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
there certainly is some of them. All right, because I worked with some. Okay, and I get it, right? But I just wish more people would just have discussions because you would get rid of those.
Yeah.
But because we're so afraid of like having those conversations, because I don't want to hurt your feelings, bitch.
Yeah,
I
the
don't
whole
care
feeling,
about
yeah.
your
Yeah, fuck that.
feelings. Okay, I don't.
Yeah, I'm
care
not that
about your
guy.
feelings.
No, me neither.
I'm not that guy.
None of our podcasts are that guy.
Let's have a conversation like men, like with people.
But I absolutely agree. The problem is though, is that I did my little Trump hands. You see that?
Man, just a little bit.
So the problem is though, is that what's happening with Mandami and his election is the Democratic Socialists of America, they're jumping all over this shit.
Oh yeah.
Right. So Bernie Sanders, he's got his red guard, right? So there's is it the mayoral candidate in Seattle, Democratic Socialists of America?
Oh, he lost that one.
Did he?
Yeah, I think he lost. That was the goofy looking guy, right?
I thought it was the chick.
Oh,
The
I don't
chick
know about
on
that.
YouTube.
There was
I
a
don't
chick
wanna be,
You
involved.
said
What
Seattle?
happened?
Oh no, yeah,
So-
wrong guy, wrong person. Yeah,
Peggy. Oh
Yeah.
no, that's the Minnesota Senate chick. I keep saying chick. I don't want to be misogynistic in my vernacular.
Oh my god, he's.
But what,
just say what you gotta say.
so I looked it up. I looked it up earlier. There's over 200 elected Democratic Socialists of America in current public office today in America.
Katie Wilson.
So what? Why do you think there's so many socialists involved?
Because
when
there was-
it's never worked.
Because they want a different. Because they don't understand what social. They're Democrats. So it's just
They're-
like back in the. Yeah,
there
it's
are
back.
words.
But it's back in the.
It's never worked.
But that's just not it, though. They're taking ideology. They're taking the ideology of Karl Marx and they're putting it through a strainer and a filter.
He couldn't even spell marked right.
Yeah,
He added
But-
an X.
it is X.
It is an X.
It's MARXX.
Yeah,
No, Karl Marx.
is spelled-
Yeah, I don't
Karl
care
Marx.
how he thinks it's spelled.
No, that's how it's spelled.
Yeah,
No,
that's
it's
how
Marx.
spelled. Karl
M-
Marx.
MARXX.
Yeah.
No, it's MARXX. It's not Mark. It's Marx. Like X marks the spot.
when?
Marx. It's always been that way. It's KARLMARRX.
Communist Manifesto.
Okay, you guys are crazy.
Karl Marx was the father of socialism.
Yeah, but like I said, he couldn't spell it correctly, so I'm going to spell it for him.
You mean he couldn't
Is-
spell his own name correctly?
Correct. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, it's
Yeah,
not.
that's what I
Just
meant.
because it's not Mark, it's Marx.
Yeah, he marched it wrong.
With two X's.
But no, that's what I'm saying though. They've taken the ideology of Karl Marx. I mean, like I said, you look back at Stalin, you look back at all these leaders from back in the day. They were socialists. But then again, you also got to realize, okay, so what country do you live in? We call Russia communism. Russia calls themselves socialism.
Right.
Yeah.
We call China communism. Their government is based on socialism. But in our term, what we defined as socialism, as Americans defined as socialism. So it depends on what country you come from. So when you're looking at Russia and you're calling them communist countries, when they're looking back and it's like, no, we not communist countries. We are socialist.
That is crazy. You're going to get canceled on Twitter later.
Oh, I've said that on Twitter before. I've argued people about that all the time on Twitter.
Is that
So let me
no,
ask you this
me no
question.
communism?
Do you think Cuba is close to communism? Is closer to communism than China. So you said North Korea is probably the
It's,
most
it's probably the closest to being almost
communist,
yeah.
right? Do you think Cuba's close?
No, I think Cuba, because Cuba still runs off of a capitalist system. So,
I think
I mean,
Cuba.
I know that it's more government controlled. I think we're going to see if Mandami gets his policies in place, it's going to be what like Cuba is run like. It's still going to be a capitalist because you can't have socialism without capitalism, because without capitalism, socialism dies.
Right, because they run out of money.
Exactly, and that's what's going to happen. And that's the whole thing. Like with this whole thing with taxing, with all these promises that Mandami won on, that these people these young voters do not realize because they don't educate themselves. And like I said, they're not stupid. They're just uneducated. They don't educate themselves on the policies. It's not the idea of trying to figure out what socialism means. It's to figure out how he's going to, because that was the first thing when he started saying, free buses and free this. When you start saying free, it's not free.
Yeah, no such thing.
There's no,
It's everybody else making money for this economy that pays for that. Yeah.
Well, socialism's a great idea until you run out of other people's money.
Exactly. I mean, it is. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I dived into socialism. It does because it's for the people. It wants healthcare for people. It wants individuality for people and stuff like that. Socialism is good, but it doesn't, because just like Joe Rogan sat there and said he sat there and said the reason why socialism won't work now is because there's too many stupid people out there. We don't have the ability to combine. There's not enough of us to be able to combine what needs to be done to actually have the programs that socialist programs can provide. It's just like New York City. He wants to tax the rich.
You
the
need
rich
more
already make
rich people, and you need really, really broke people for socialists to work.
Well, the thing is, though, is
Just
it's
like the burning of the books. What was that? What was that book? It was like something like where they used to burn books. It was like a socialist economy.
Oh, they burn books in China and all those countries.
No. This was a book for Fahrenheit 451. That's literally what you need. You need people with a lot of money, and you need really, really broke people for socialism to work.
But
there cannot be no middle class.
But yeah, that's it. I mean, that's basically it. Socialism doesn't see a middle class.
And we don't have a middle class in America right now.
Not anymore, no.
It's almost like that's what they're trying to build. You need people that are relying on the government, and then you need people that don't give a fuck.
I mean, that's a hypocrisy. That's the hypocrisy that I see with Mandami, because he's sitting there saying, about Trump's billionaires, because this whole everything, all these elections are not about the policies or procedures or for the people. It's a get back at Trump. It's right. TDS in full bloom, like I put on X. It's TDS in full bloom. It's been this way for the last 8 years. It's TDS in full bloom. But the fact of the matter is, so just like you said, you need the rich to make it work. So in New York City, they already tax the rich 48%.
And guess what? Most of them are leaving.
Well, there's a good chance. I mean, they're
going to Texas.
They're making
everywhere else.
Yeah, they're making. There's a few of them that are relocating. They're not literally like leaving, but they're giving themselves other options.
Yeah, they're bringing assets elsewhere.
Yeah, they're giving themselves. I mean, even Wall Street,
Colorado.
That's what people said. Is it's like, well, the rich. It's just like I've seen videos. I mean, it's true. I mean, because when the top 1%, which is the billionaires that pay the 48% of what runs New York City, when they decide to stop, I mean, I think it's like, what is it like? Can't remember right now. It's a very small amount of how many billionaires, because I think there's only like 200 billionaires in New York City. If I can spell right.
Hey, while you're looking that up, I'm looking at your other screen in the bottom, and you're giving that you're giving that Mandami thing a bunch of views. Yeah.
Yeah, I was hoping you would delete it this entire time, but you
All right,
kept
I forget
dancing
it was
down
on there.
so it pisses me off even more. And I actually appreciated it.
Oh,
but
so New York City is a home to 123 billionaires as of 2025. So only 129 or 123 of them are paying 58 or 48% of New York City's taxes. You know,
and
so
where do you think they have their money at to where they're not paying that taxes?
because it's just like somebody said if you're a millionaire in New York City, you're going to only bring in $600 and some $1,000 a year. If you make $1 million, if you make $1.5 million a year, $1.5 million a year in New York City, you're only bringing home $600,000 to $700,000 a year. So technically, you're not a millionaire.
Off income tax.
Yeah.
Off income tax. Yeah.
Income, yeah.
Yeah, because your net take home is half that. So the fact of the matter is, so when they say you're a millionaire, you're not technically a millionaire because you don't bring home $1 million a year. Now the billionaires, on the other hand, they get to bring home $1 million a year, but
Puerto Rico,
Texas.
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, economically, I think
be taxed on income.
I mean, economically, I think here in Oklahoma, I think
It's really important.
we've I mean, since I've been here, I think it's more economically sound than my home state in Kansas. You know, because we do have the oil industry, we do have a lot of that stuff here in Oklahoma. But the fact of the matter is it's like, but if 1% of those billionaires leave, that's going to cut a big chunk out of what they collect. So where are they going to end up taxing? They're going to tax what classified as the middle class,
right?
In order to get that money.
It's all a mad joke.
Money.
It's
no, I mean,
and by the way, those middle class folks, they're not prisoners. They're not. They can leave too.
Yes,
leave it. Absolutely. Talking about somebody who left a blue state to a red state. Guess what? They can leave too.
Yeah,
absolutely. When they get tired of better position,
right?
To a better position.
Yeah. When they get tired of getting the shit tax out of them, they're going to leave.
Yeah. And that's because that's a reason why
they run out of other people's money.
That's the reason why a lot of the businesses move from New Jersey into New York City is because the commercial tax rate in New Jersey is a lot higher than the commercial tax rate in New York City.
Right.
You know, it's right. You have people that live in New Jersey and the boroughs. Why do you think
a lot of people are coming to Pennsylvania?
Well, I mean, they're going everywhere. I mean, look at San Francisco.
They're
go back.
Leaving New York and New Jersey because of tax rates.
Yeah.
And they're coming to Pennsylvania. And guess what that's doing to my goddamn insurance? Fuck you, New York and New Jersey.
But it's just not that. You got California too. California is moving everywhere too. There's been a mass there. I mean, even though if you ask, the news medias and stuff like that, if there's a mass exodus of Californians, but there is. Your car insurance?
Yeah, just say 2 cars, never been in an accident. Just take a guess.
It depends on what your policy and premium is.
$750 for the
that's every 12 every
whatever. Say I need to get a bullshit. It's $750. Normally I like to do $500, but in this case I needed to do $750 because of how much it is.
I don't know, and that depends state to state too.
How much a month?
Probably $200.
Oh, go ahead and bump that up a little bit.
By 50%?
But it also has to deal with your age gap too.
I'm 28 years old. I'm past the age gap.
It doesn't.
It does. I'm not dumb. I know about it.
I mean, the 25 is what, but the insurance
25 is normally when companies
that's the first one.
Deduction.
Yeah, that's the first one.
So after 30, it tends to go down a little bit more, right? But listen, I have no accidents. I'm a professional driver. I work as a driver for a living. And now they put this little chip in your fucking car to check to see if...
Oh, take that shit out of there.
Yeah, take that shit out.
dude.
That's why your insurance is so expensive. Because
No.
no. Those, because if you happen to stop for a fucking squirrel in the road automatically, there's 10% onto your insurance rate for the month.
No, believe me, it doesn't affect me till I cancel it, or until the next thing.
But what I'm saying,
So I
because we
had-
did that
I
because
can cancel it.
Progressive started
Progressive.
those.
Yeah,
Progressive is
who I go
is
to.
your problem, anyways. But
Yeah.
But this is my issue: is I'm paying just under $4 under $300 a month for 2 cars.
Yeah.
hell,
I've
we
never had an
have
accident. I hit a deer once, which, by the way, was not at fault accident. My wife got rear-ended, again, not at fault accident, and they bumped my premiums up from less than $200 a month to almost $300 a month.
let's see, we
It's a
have insurance.
scam.
We have insurance on 2 vehicles, and it's $142 a month.
Again, so tell me how none of this shit
And that's
is
full coverage on one and liability on the other.
So I got full coverage on 3 vehicles, and it's I want to say, and one of them is an RV, and it's like $329 a month.
I have a 2023 Chevy Trailblazer RS.
I think you need to move to where I live.
And your vehicles have a lot to do with your insurance too.
Hey, listen, I might as well go over to the goddamn golf course down there and get myself a little RV action going on. Okay.
But I mean, yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean,
river.
Insurance is a scam. I mean, it was created only because I mean, car insurance was a scam. I mean, it was created by the motor companies.
Tell me about that, please. Tell me about that
topic tonight. I haven't researched that scam. It's not part of the conversation.
Okay.
So get him back to Mandami. Let's get back to Mandami real quick. So
yeah, you got to reel him in every once in a while.
Yeah, I know. He's getting a little crazy. Get a couple White Claws in him. He's or some green beers. So the whole Mandami thing, right? So what's happening right now is the Democratic Socialist Party of America is actually taking full advantage of the momentum that's happening in New York, and they are backing candidates in Minneapolis, Minnesota for Senate, in Michigan. Who's that jackass from in Michigan? No, Maine. Graham Planter.
Oh yeah.
That he's like a former Marine, I guess.
Yeah, he's a podcaster.
Yeah, he's a douchebag.
Definitely isn't growing weed in his basement.
Omar Fata. And my question is it a coincidence that Omar Fata, Ilan Omar,
oh my God, my fartas.
Fata.
Well, you just said
I said
something
Fata.
about growing grams. Okay, and then oh my
Graham
God,
Planter, he's a douchebag. But Omar Fata. Is it a coincidence that they're Muslim?
Oh yeah, because they're backed by Elon. That's what I'm saying about Omar, is that she shouldn't even be in anything with government.
No.
Not federal government anyway.
No.
I mean, she's not even I mean, technically, if all the rumors are true, which I don't know if they are, but I'm not going to start a rumor mill, but even if they are true, she shouldn't even be in Congress. I mean, plain and simple. But the fact of the matter is, she doesn't pledge allegiance to the United States. She pledges it to Somalia, and that should be another kicker.
Right. That should be a disqualifier straight out of the gate.
Yeah, it's treason considering she's a government official.
Right. And then, so in my time in my journey, I have gotten the opportunity to meet a bunch of different people. And one of those people was he was a guy from Iraq. And he was a translator during the Iraqi war. And he told me about this doctrine where Muslims are allowed to disguise their faith or their perspective for strategic advantage.
Hmm.
And I don't know how to. I wrote it down as. I'm going to butcher the pronunciation, but it's Taqiya, Taqiya.
Okay.
And it's a really long story about how we got into this conversation, but basically, they're told to lie in order to gain strategic advantage. And if you look at the Democratic Socialists of America's strategy, they are looking to undermine America from the inside out.
Oh yeah,
100%. And they're using folks like Mandami or Omar Fatah or there's another one. I don't know that I wrote that person's name down. But basically, there is an actual doctrine in Muslim circles. I'm not going to say it's actually, I'm not going to quote it from the Holy Book, but where they're told, hey, look, pretend like you assimilate into the society until you can change the society from the inside out.
yeah.
Taqiya, I think it's.
Well, there's also Dearborn, Michigan.
Yeah, well, that's a huge hotspot of Muslim activity.
Yeah, it's approximately 55% of its 110,000 residents are Middle Eastern, so North African industry and ancestry. Sorry, blah, blah, blah. It says a portion of the largest. It has the largest Muslim population in the United States.
Yep,
That's crazy.
55%.
Holy shit.
Yeah, in the 1900s, that's where Ford Motor Company was started. As the community expanded significantly after U.S. immigration laws were relaxed in the 1960s, and later waves of Iraqi refugees arrived in the 1990s and Syrian refugees in the 2010, following the wars from the homeland.
It's a lot of connections.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
Why Dearborn?
conspiracy connections.
Yeah, that is out of all the countries in the world. Why Dearborn?
Why there?
Or why are the cities in the country? Kind of crazy.
Yeah, in the United States, right?
Where
Why would you?
Ford
Why would you?
was
And
founded.
by the way, what does it say about Minneapolis?
So you said Dearborn is where Ford was founded.
And in the 1900s, that was where the Ford plant was located.
Sure. It's my favorite word. Sure.
It says Minneapolis is Sniffy Grove, Muslim Minneapolis, St. Paul has probably about 3% identifying as Muslim.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I would have thought it was more than that, but okay.
Minneapolis is the home to one of the largest Somalia communities in North America, representing a major portion of the city's Muslim population, approximately 1/3 of its 85,000 people with Somali ancestry in the United States and Minnesota. Well, yeah, I mean, it's just like
Omar Fatah is Somalian.
Mm-hmm. So is Elon Omar.
Elon Omar, yeah.
Elon Musk.
No. Ilan
I'm
Omar.
just being your local degenerate idiot not paying attention for you.
Hey, at least
Yeah.
we don't have a cameo of the Redneckistan garage that we saw in the
Yeah.
in the last podcast. Holy shit!
Oh my god. I thought they were about to have a clan meeting over there.
That was some malicious shit right there.
Yeah, it
Oh
was.
my god. Let's stand around the turbo.
See
I'm
that?
just
I mean,
kidding. I'm
just just those two cities alone is why it's just like you go back to the whole thing. It's just like everybody's like, why were they trying to fight so hard for Trump to get in? Why were they trying to fight so hard for this? Because they knew. Because if I'm not gonna lie, if Kamala was elected, if she became president, I hate to say it and it's not because she's a woman. It's just because of her inability to lead a huge operation, and she was already on the puppet strings of some of the PACs and everything else. I mean, who else could spend $90 billion or $8 billion or whatever on a campaign fund and then still turn around and owe $250 million or something like that she owed back to it
For like 70 days.
Yeah. Just like she did. She had one of the largest campaign fundraisers in political history, and she blew it all and still owed money at the end. But that's what I'm saying. You want somebody like that running a country that totally depends on economical status and economical profit. Like I said, the only reason why I favor Trump running it, even though, like I said, some of the stuff here, he's kind of crazy, but it's only a year in. It's just like you can't judge how things is right now because he's ripping the Band-Aids off of so many corruption that's been around since the 50s and the 60s that it's probably, you're going to see a hard hit, and I'm in for it. It's going to be hard. We're going to be, probably eating Roman noodles and everything else for a little while. But the fact of the matter is, to rip these Band-Aids off and get us back to where there's some sense of normalcy in the world, I'm down for that. I'm going to wait. The first 2 years are usually the interim president cleaning up the messes from the outgoing president. And then the last 2 years is usually where policies and stuff actually start taking shape and if it's a good president and a good ideology behind business, that's where you're going to start seeing the real changes and the real benefits from the change is the last 2 years. And then it depends on who gets in the next 4 years to keep those 2 years going if they're working. And usually what happens is we get going good the last 2 years, and then I'm not going to lie, a Democratic president comes in and fucks it all up.
Mm-hmm.
Because
unless he can actually run in 28, he's lamed up.
Yeah. So that's the reason why he's pushing so hard right now. But he had to come in, and that's what I'm saying. I thought it was just joking around when people say, "No, he's playing 4D chess." No, the motherfucker is playing 4D chess.
Yeah.
If people were not so brainwashed by the manipulation of social media and were able to step back, that's just it. These people don't step back. They don't get out away from their screens or their phones and anything else long enough for their minds to recalibrate.
So can I ask you a question? Because I have been told otherwise. Do you really think the younger generation, like my generation, is smarter than your generation?
Your kid, what would be your kids are going to be?
How?
Because they are witnessing all.
With what experience?
Well, that's what I'm saying. They're the younger generation, like what would be your kids, are actually being said in research papers and stuff like that they're not conforming to what your generation, your later generation and the generation right after you would be.
So that's maybe I'm biased in the fact that I think outside of even my generational's
Yeah, I mean,
like thought process, right? Maybe that's
You do.
why I kind of feel a little bit
so
different.
I mean,
But
I think like I told you the other night. I think your kids, what would be if you had kids had kids that were growing up, that are in grade school and stuff like that are coming up through the ranks. I think they're going to be the new version of Gen X. They are going to be the ones that are going to be testing the system, testing the waters, pushing boundaries. They're going to be the ones that are going to be drinking out of fucking garden hoses. They're going to be out jumping fucking blocks in the middle of the road with their bikes and shit like that. I mean, I already see that just around the neighborhood here with some of the new people that are moving in around our neighborhood that have younger kids. They're not inside on their phones and their tablets and everything else. They are outside playing. They're playing basketball. They're playing catch. They're doing shit we used to do as Gen Xers.
do you? Okay,
So I think
I can't deny that because I don't know.
Because
Right.
what's happening is because so basically it would be the younger I can't remember what the generational deal is, but whatever your generation underneath you would be, they're watching, because most of you guys are parents now. You're between 28 to 35. They're parents. They have kids. Some of them were young parents, so they have kids that are probably completing high school or getting
Yeah,
ready
they
to
got
complete
blue
high school.
hair. They're getting tattoos on their dick.
So,
yeah, for sure.
so basically, your millennials, your generational millennial, is running off of what they're seeing what Gen X did, and they were trying to sit there saying, "Oh, I'm not going to be my mom and dad," blah blah blah. I mean, every generation does that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So the fact of the matter is, and a lot of millennials nowadays, they didn't push their kids. See, like Gen X, Gen X didn't push their kids. Besides out the door, that's the only thing.
Push them outside.
Yeah, we were pushed outside and locked out of the house for 9 hours.
That's true. She said, "And
yeah,
why aren't you back in the house by this time?"
Because you had
It's
two
like,
choices.
I don't have a clock.
You had two choices growing up. You could stay in the house on a Saturday morning and help clean, or you went outside and played. And I don't know anybody that stayed in the house to help clean.
Shit, I was raised on a I don't want to say a ranch because that's not actually accurate. But we had 14 horses when I was a kid.
Yeah, I mean,
And by the way, you could either be inside cleaning or you could be outside cleaning. And by the way, the
Yeah.
outside mess was a hell of a lot stinkier than the inside mess. But I think I agree with you to a certain degree. But I think the push towards homeschooling nowadays is what is driving parents to have their children do things outside of the norm, right? And think outside the box and not trust the government.
Yeah.
I've often told my parents, who I'm blessed to still have at the age of 54, their generation let us down. The boomers let us down. And what I mean by when I say that is they trusted these politicians from the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, and they didn't realize that these politicians, they were just in it for themselves, or they were moving that Overton window or whatever. The boomers were asleep at the wheel. 100%.
Hey, I appreciate that. Thank you.
What?
Somebody's got to say it.
Oh, the boomers were asleep at the wheel.
Somebody's got to say it.
The boomers were fighting the American dream.
And y'all aren't in the boomer
No,
generation.
the greatest generation was fighting the American dream.
Yeah. Yeah.
So our grandparents.
Oh yeah, 40s and 50s. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
the greatest generation.
Be my dad and mom.
World War II. Right. So my grandparents
Because my dad was born in 22, my mom was born in 31.
Holy shit!
I got
You were
the
like
best of.
70?
I've got 4 generations in me. My sisters and
God.
brothers are actually boomers.
So
God
so
damn.
what? What do I have?
My grandparents were born in the 18 in the teens.
Your parents would be Gen Xers. Your grandparents would be boomers
So
Andrews.
my grandparents,
or
Frank.
boomers.
yeah, my grandparents are the reason why I know about dial-up internet, the fucking
No, that would be your parents.
Shit.
that shit, you know, the fucking
rotary
circle-
phone?
rotary phones,
Because
and all
because millennial parents are Gen Xers.
I had a fucking party line when I was a kid where you picked up the phone and it could be 4 different houses on the same fucking phone.
that.
4 houses.
Yep.
Okay.
And you had no idea who you were talking to 99%.
He had no
of the time.
idea. And you could literally pick up the phone and listen to some fucking personal ass shit.
That's like having like a radio, like a CB radio, just listening, like to random people talk.
Yeah, but hardline.
Or
But
you could
like on a telephone line.
yeah.
Fucking
See,
party
like
line.
Party lines were crazy.
So I thought like I knew a lot about like our history, right? Because I grew up in my grandparents' house per se. Like all summer long we were there. All summer long, all my cousins were over at the house. We were sitting there, we were playing wiffle ball out back, fucking playing on the train tracks as a grandma was sitting there like, get back across the fence line. We don't want you get hit by a train, whatever. So we'd come back in, like all that. We go to the park and walk and feed the ducks, stuff like that. A lot of people didn't get that experience. Right? Like I grew up in my grandparents' point of view of time. When we had to call our mom and dad, you're going to learn how to use that rotary phone. And guess what? You have to know that number before you come over to Nanny and Pap's house.
Well, it's like I said, if we wanted to get together with friends, you either made plans at school or you got your ass up and went over to their house, and but so I looked it up. So so Gen Alpha, which is millennials kids, they're the ones that will be where'd it go? So Gen Alphas are 2010 to 2025. So it says the oldest members of the generation are now around 14 to 15-year-olds, making them middle schoolers in 2025. It says even though Generation Alpha is actually shaping up to be more similar to Gen Z rather than Gen X, though there are some interesting parallels emerging that Gen X independent streak. So it says Gen Alpha and Gen Z are remarkably parallel upbringings. Both were raised with memes, 24/7 internet, smartphones, tablets, social media, YouTube, TikTok, all that good shit. The primary difference between them is AI technology and COVID-19, which uniquely shaped Gen Alpha's formative years. Both generations are digital natives, which means they grew up digitally. Most racially diverse in history, socially conscious, which we're seeing that on TikTok with some of the younger crowds, and vocal about issues like climate change, which we're seeing a lot of that because that was programmed that climate change actually exists.
Right.
But it says, however, some experts suggest that Gen Alpha may be developing Gen-like characteristics as they mature. Gen X is known for independence, resilience, skepticism towards authority, and being latchkey kids who grew up with significant freedom. Gen Alpha is showing early signs of independency and fearlessness. They're even nicknamed honey badgers on TikTok for their tendency to challenge authority. It says, additionally, Gen Alpha appears to be consciously logging out and seeking in-person connection, with teens 15% percentage points more likely to see friends on the weekends than in 2021, suggesting potential rejection of constant digital connectivity. So basically they're saying they're starting to unplug. They're actually getting out.
So these kids now, what are they doing? Like to hang out? Are they going to sports games? Are they going to football, basketball, baseball?
like I said, I'm starting to
Like,
see
when I
bikes in
think
people's
about-
yards again. You know, like when you used to grow up, you'd see people's bikes and,
Yeah.
15, 20 bikes in the yard that you knew there was a party going and everybody was over
Do
at
you think
Bob's
that's
house.
because mommy and daddy can't afford fucking phones anymore?
No,
Let's be
because
honest.
you can get phones. I mean, shit, phones are. I mean, they're expensive in the long run, but anybody can get a phone.
Hey, listen, let's be honest though. Everybody's complaining about not having enough money.
But the fact of the matter is, I mean,
Take it out of perspective, right?
no, they don't. That's not That's not their budgeting. That's not those. That's not the budgeting aspect. Phone is a necessity now, so it's not part of as a perk like it was when we were growing up.
Yeah. Okay.
Buying a pager.
Yeah.
Getting a pager was
My
a perk
parents
back
were
then,
like,
or
hey,
getting a bag
I only want you
phone.
texted me, because
Yeah.
if you text anybody else, you paying for it.
Yeah. When you used to have to pay, per text message or per minute that you used to have to pay on cell phones was a little different back then. But
She said, "What's all this internet usage on this phone?"
so like I said, I think as especially like with everything going on right now, I think it's going to, when they get into their 20s and 30s, I think we're going to see, I mean, that's going to be what we're going to be 67 or 70, 80 years old. I am anyways, but before we probably start seeing some changes, but I think we're going to, but then it's going to repeat itself. You're going to have the same thing because you're having Gen Xers coming into Congress now. So when they're 20s and their 30s, those people are going to be the same fucking age as our Congress people, So it's going to run into the same instance. You're going to get complacent. You're going to do this. You're going to be backdoor deals, whatever makes you more money and everything else. It's just like with this new House representative that was bitching because she didn't get sworn in, until today because of the government shutdown. Speaker Johnson wouldn't swear her in because they couldn't. It was, you can't do shit when the government shut down. So they finally got her sworn in. But the fact of the matter is, she's wanting to do all this stuff, but so she's a freshman congressperson. So that means I want to watch her net revenue. I want to see how it goes up, who buys her, because you see a lot of these Congress people in office now, they start in at their $175,000 a year salary for being a House representative. And then turn around 2 years later, they're worth $3.5 million. How the fuck is that possible? Yeah. Right. How the fuck does that happen? Oh, it's investments. It's this. It's like, no, it's not fucking investments.
Insider trading is what the fuck it is.
Yeah.
And also who's buying who.
Yeah, exactly.
I think if I was to fix Congress, I would two things. One, term limits, but that's really the Fox voting themselves out of the hen house.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then two, I would make lobbying illegal.
Oh, hell yeah.
Lobbying is just legalized bribery.
Well, what they need to do, if they don't get rid of lobbying, what they need to do is they need to turn around and make AIPAC file as a foreign dignitary or a foreign agency, even though, because they're allowed to do what they do, and they're one of the biggest PACs in the world right now because of the fact of the matter that they collect so much money from the America donors and businesses and stuff like that, and they don't have to show where they get the money from because they're not registered as a foreign entity because they are an American, aka hand quote American organization. Even though they represent Israel. So it's just like, that's if you're going to be a PAC, and I think if you're going to be a PAC, period, it doesn't matter if you're foreign or domestic, you still need to be registered as a PAC, and your financials should be available to everybody that wants to see them. You shouldn't have to go behind a paywall or anything else. You should be able to look it up. This is how much. This is who's donating. I think you would stop if you started the transparency on where the money comes from. I guarantee the money will stop coming.
Oh yeah.
And if if the SEC and stuff like that would start regulating harder and start looking more into dark pool trading and stuff like that, you would see a lot of these congressmen and everything else you would see a lot of people not running for Congress. That's the only reason why people run for Congress now, is because they know they're going to make fucking $1 million, before their 10 years up, they're going to make a fucking $2-3 million.
Do you think they ever think that they will make a difference?
No, not anymore. Congress isn't like it was back in the day. No.
You don't think anybody does?
I mean, you might have a few small freshmen that come through. It's just like, the ones that are dedicated. I mean, you can kind of see it, like, I don't know, like our senator, Mark Wayne Mullen. I don't know. I mean, I think in the beginning. What happens
when people don't have any bad blood, if that makes sense? Like anything that they can't.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. Well, that's. I mean, that's what's wrong with Trump. I mean, that's the reason why fucking Pelosi hated Trump so much, is because he used to be a Democrat, supported her and everything else, and some of the shit she done, and then when he turned Republican, and then started bouncing away and everything else, and she realized that she couldn't control him like she controlled every other president that came through the White House with her little, supposedly the rumor of the black book that she carried. You got to realize Pelosi's been in politics since Johnson.
She's been in politics longer than I have ever been alive.
There's actually
before I
Kennedy
was a sparkle in my mother's, or
because there's a picture. There's a picture of young Pelosi with JFK and LBJ. She was a what do they call them? The kids that go a page. She was a page. Or some senator or something like that was doing something for. But no, like I said, I mean, the whole thing that we're seeing now, I mean.
And Nixon was the president when I was born.
Yes, because it was Nixon. Reagan and Carter were what I remember. Reagan and Carter. I remember the Reagan and Carter. That's the first presidential debate I've ever seen in my life live. Was Reagan and Carter. So Nixon and Reagan. Because Reagan won from Nixon. No,
Nixon, then Ford.
Well, Ford took over when Nixon resigned, yeah.
And then Carter.
Carter, because Carter,
Nixon,
then,
Ford,
yeah,
Carter.
that's right, yeah.
Reagan.
Yeah, because Carter only did one term.
Yeah, so Nixon was president when I was born.
Yeah. Ford was when I was born.
Carter, yeah. Reagan.
Because I think Nixon was only there, 2 years? Or not even 2 years?
Yeah.
Because Ford took over.
If you think about it, she was all of Johnson's term.
Mm-hmm. All the corruptness.
Which was the remainder of JFK's term.
And the remainder of the Dixiecrats.
Right. So Nancy Pelosi has been in Congress since before I was born, and I'm 54 years old.
I think it was like 74 years.
55. Yeah.
Or she was like what? She's like 80. How old is she? I think it was like.
She's like.
I don't know. They said she's been in literal Congress for 47 years, but she had her hand in because her dad was reported mafia.
So I was 7. When that person almost was.
Well, see, her dad is rumored to was arrested and everything else for mafia ties back. So there's the mafia connection there with her.
Yep.
So I mean
ridiculous.
the rumor of the little black book, I can't remember when it came out, but I heard that years ago about the rumor of her little black book that she had that was passed down from her father. See, her father was very influential in New York City. And supposedly there's this little black book that he collected while he was politically charged in New York City and passed it on to her when it was her time. I mean, you think about it. you know, the power that woman had was crazy. And the fact that she kept getting reelected to her fucking district in California for, well, I mean, that's it too. That's the reason why I think we need term limits on Congress is the fact because people just get, okay, you know, they did this, you know, I don't want to listen to anybody else's, you know, we're just gonna, that happens on both sides. But
Mitch McConnell.
yeah, that's the dude that freezes and reboots every once in a while, isn't he?
Yeah, no shit.
Freezes at the podium and then reboots when somebody touches him.
Shit.
Or falls down the stairs, or I think his last thing, I think he fell here a few weeks ago. Well, hell, Pelosi was coming in on a fucking walker the last time she came in.
Oh, really? I didn't see that.
She got the tennis balls on the bottom?
Yep, she had a walker coming in. Well, look at Feinstein.
Making sure she can scoot on.
She had that stroke.
In there.
She had that stroke, and she was on medical leave for like a year and a half or something like that, recovering from it.
Yeah,
and when she came,
fucking health insurance is paid for though. Huh?
And when she came back, she got rolled in a chair when she came back to Congress, and she didn't even realize she'd been gone for that long. Well, and then you know, rest in peace. She passed away a few months later, but yeah, I mean, it's time. I mean, you're seeing a lot of these that are retiring for the fact because, like I said, with the thing tonight, with the passage of the you know, I think four or five out of the 8 senators that jumped ship to get it out of the Senate, you know, they were retiring, and the other ones weren't coming up for re-election this term, so they had nothing to lose. And Schumer, you know, he's gone. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing AOC in there to take over Schumer's place, because I think she would be okay as a senator. She's got enough experience in the House to become a senator, but I think in order to become president, I think she needs to do a lot more foreign policy, because she knows diddly squat about foreign policy, other than what she's done in committees. But I don't know. But that's my thought on that. But so, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys are watching this, thank you for stopping by tonight. We got one little quick subject that I wanted to talk about before we head off, and then we'll figure out if anybody else has anything to say or whatever, anything to bring up. But something came across my feed today, and I shared it, or the other day, and I shared it with Frank. But it's amazing. Did you realize that those fucking gift cards that you buy from like Starbucks and Amazon and Walmart and all those places, even the Visa preload that you load money onto, did you know those are basically crypto banks for them? They're interest free. People are giving them interest free loans. This is fucking crazy, dude. When I started researching this shit, so it's just like, okay, so, you know, you go buy a gift card for $25 or whatever, Starbucks or whatever. And shit, you may not even use the $25 and then forget you have the card. So that $25 you put on that card is just sitting there. Or if you buy a $25 gift card and you give it to somebody, or you buy $100 and break it up into 4 people, give it to 4 different people for stocking stuffers or whatever, that money's just sitting in those cards. So the whole thing is, these companies like Target, Walmart, Starbucks, and everything else, they basically have their own banking system, or their own banks, through these cards. The scary thing about this is, the fact of the matter is, they're not insured like normal banks, because if something happens to your money, it's just gone, plain and simple. They have no recourse to give it back to you. But
Not legally allowed to discuss this.
huh?
I'm just kidding.
Oh, why?
I'm just fucking with
Why do you work at Starbucks?
you. Yeah. I
Oh.
work at Target.
Yeah, okay.
Target these nuts. Anyway.
But so the fiscal year of 2024, Starbucks held. How much do you think they held in unredeemed gift cards? Just give me a guess. How much money?
Probably about mil, if not 2 mil.
What's your
I'd say
guess?
probably 500 million.
$1.87 billion in unredeemed cards fiscal year
Free money.
2024.
Free money for Target.
This is Starbucks. 1.8
Starbucks?
1.8, they're the largest. $1.87 billion in free money that they could use for whatever they wanted to use for.
They could put that on life insurance. No, I'm just kidding. But that's crazy.
So most states,
crazy.
when they issue these gift cards, they've required, and over the years they've required them to put limitations. Like you have to keep those on there for at least 5 years, blah blah blah. But there's a lot of times, a lot of this money on these cards expire after 2 years, so you can't use the card after 2 years. So if you don't use it all up, it's gone.
And if the strip disappears,
and then you just donated money to Starbucks
to their bank. Yep.
Yeah. Huh.
You know what I don't do? Give gift cards. I give cash.
So what this is called, because I asked about it, I was like, okay, so how do they like use this like on their tax purpose? Because they have to claim it as some type of revenue. So they claim it as what's called breakage. So breakage is the percentage of the gift cards that are never redeemed in 2024. Starbucks recorded $207.6 million in breakage revenue, meaning customers paid for coffee they will never drink. Researchers show that nearly 40% of people aged 18 to 29 lose their gift cards before spending them, and 25% of those aged 30 to 64 do the same.
And my daughter is that one of those people. Yeah. So
But
like my mom will get her gift cards and she'll put it in a card or whatever, birthday, Christmas, whatever, and she'll put it in her wallet and she'll forget it's there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And then 2 years later.
Yep. I found Walmart cards like that. It's like, oh yeah, it's like I remember putting money on there. Somebody gave me a Walmart card.
I think I have a Lowe's card somewhere that I need to spend the remainder of that shit on.
So it's just like,
Not me. I'm a penny pincher ass bitch. I like pennies. I don't care if there's a couple pennies on that gift card. Swipe it, honey. Swipe it.
Yeah, take
before
the balance.
you go and get that Chick-fil-A. All right, I know I get a $15 Chick-fil-A gift card from my Nanny K every Christmas. Swipe it. We'll get it. But like I just
from Danny Snow.
Yeah. It's funny, but
so I mean
crazy.
Here's some more. So
what was it? 1.7 billion or something.
So even like your payment apps like Venmo, PayPal, Cash App, and Apple Pay, all hold customers' funds and generate revenue by investing that stored money. It's kind of like the bank. Sure. When you deposit your money into a bank, your money's not there anymore. It's been spread out among whatever they want. People that. So we've had this conversation before. So like bankings, if you come in and put $50,000 in, and then turn around and I come in and sit there and want a $50,000 loan. Well, that $50,000 you just put in went in my pocket, and then you want to come back and draw that $50,000 out. You're going to have to wait a few days because they've got to collect that money from other.
By the way,
resources.
Do you know how many times they can loan it out? It's not just once. They can loan it out up to 10 times.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. So banks are traditionally over leveraged.
Oh yeah, I knew that. Yeah.
Right. So let's say I put, like you said, $50,000 in. Well, they can loan out my money 10 different times. But just think of how much money is inside the banking system, right? So now they're loaning out my money 10 times. They're loaning out your money 10 times. They're loaning out your money 10 times. They're loaning out his money 10 times. By the way, and then the money's still on their balance sheet.
Oh yeah. Oh
right?
yeah.
So
It's not.
don't even get me started on what they do with the money on their balance sheet. Because
Well-
I know what they do with their money on their balance sheet. We'll talk about that in a future podcast.
But I mean, it just kind of goes to this too, because it's like, that's what I asked. How do they use it towards, figuring that out on their taxes? It's just like,
where do you think they leverage it against to be able to promote it to?
And actually, the SEC is actually looking into like this right now. They're doing investigations in because of the way Starbucks changed it. So they sit there and they don't. So like, say if you buy, so they have $1.7 million or $1 billion in unused cards for that revenue year. They don't have to file it on that year's taxes as actual revenue. They can file but they can claim that $1.47 million or $1 billion as income for their investors, showing that the company is actually making money. What it's not. I mean, it is, but it's not by product.
Welcome to tax codes.
Yeah, right.
Welcome to.
Hence the reason why Trump sat there and says, "When you fix the tax codes, I'll quit trying to find the loopholes."
Yeah, it has been going.
By the way, Trump's not the only one.
Such a long.
Oh,
time.
fuck no!
It's all of the rich.
Yes,
I use it.
I do too.
1913.
But
thought I forgot that date, huh? Yeah.
So
it's been going on for a very long time.
So I asked that. Well, yeah, because the bankers are the ones that started the loopholes. I mean, because that way they could make money for themselves. And it's just everybody else kind of caught on. That's the reason why the tax code is so large, is because who's gonna fucking actually read the tax code? That's the reason why. Then you turn around and have to hire H&R Block or some of these other companies because they're experienced in the tax code. Then you're gonna have to pay them. So now you're spending extra money. So it's just like, so I had it break down by generation of unused gift cards. So millennials, let's see where to go. So here it says average unused gift card balances by age group. Millennials, which is ages 28 to 43, $332. Gen X's, 44 to 59, $255. Baby boomers, ages 60 to 78, $227. Gen Z has the lowest, ages 18 through 27, of 142. So those are the ones that have actual money, So actually, Gen Z uses their cards a lot more than the rest of them do. But
which is crazy because my daughter's Gen Z.
Yeah, but then it says, because the average unused gift card per balance per person is, it's just about the same. Women, 57 to 60% use or purchase gift cards regularly. Men, 43% use gift cards.
Right.
So
not
women,
purchase.
yeah.
I'll just use my points, aka.
Let me tell you, I cannot even remember the last time I purchased a gift card.
Women normally do it for us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you want me to do? What do you want me to get so and so for their birthday? Yeah, just get them a gift card.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. I mean, it was really high like during the pandemic because that's where a lot of people were in, because they couldn't, go to stores and shop and everything else. So they were just buying gift cards offline and sending it to people.
Right.
Because you can buy them offline. They have.
Has anybody ever bought an Amazon gift card? When you're going to check out and you're like, oh, you can get this Amazon gift card. Has anybody ever bought that?
No, but I gotten free $10 ones from working there.
Yeah, I've never bought a gift card from Amazon.
I don't know. I mean, I've done like giveaways for them and stuff like that. So I bought them for other people, I guess, technically.
No, like when you check out, you go to your cart, and you go to check out.
Oh, no.
They're like, oh, if you buy this gift card, you can get a certain amount discount on your thing.
No, because discount really doesn't matter for
times.
Really doesn't matter for the amount of money you put into the gift card.
Right.
Now that we know that you'll end up not using
that's why
it.
they do it.
and costing, giving these people interest-free loans that they can use for anything for the year. So, yeah, it's
As
kind of crazy.
breakage.
Yeah, as breakage. Yeah, and then after 2 years, they can actually file it on their taxes. So, I mean, it will kind of work for them in the long run, because if they had like not a very good tax year 1 year, they could use that $147 million and put it on that as taxes, and then it'll help them out with their tax returns.
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. I sent Frank that TikTok the other day, and I'm going, holy fuck. So that's all I did like today was deep dive into this to find out. And the more and more, it's like, you got to be kidding me. I'll never buy a damn another gift card in my life. Even though I didn't, but my wife ain't going to either.
Right.
I ain't going to fund these
that
damn
debit
businesses.
card that's in your hand?
Well, the debit cards as well. And it's just like,
debit card's fine.
and it's just like, and most of these are called debit cards. I mean, because like I said, the Visa prepaid loads. Right. So I didn't check that. So how much does Visa get for this? Visa and MasterCard, because they have those prepaid. Let's see what it says. Prepaid. It was about ready to give me its breakage on its whole entire fucking revenue stream. It's like, no, I just want the gift cards.
Me too. Can you give me some free fucking gift cards?
So this was new, by the way.
Yeah.
So I'm only to right there.
My consumption has been 3 White Claws, 3 Garage Beer Limes, working on the 4th, 4 Michelob Ultras.
How's that Jim Beam Honey going?
Let's see that. Let's see that action, baby.
Oh, it's over there. I don't want to get up. I'm not gonna know, because I had two of my little mugs full.
You
of
work
Friday
tomorrow,
night.
don't you?
Yes.
Yeah. He's got to wake up early. Problem.
Even though it's Thursday and it shouldn't be too busy, but see, it says, okay, so Visa, MasterCard, Loop.
Today's Thursday?
No, tomorrow.
Tomorrow, sir.
Generic cash card from Visa have a specific carry will make them particularly profitable for breakage. These open loop cards are exploited at $5.7 billion annually. Let's see. Blackhawk Network, which distributes the major of gift, reported $1.26 billion in commissions and fees and $16 billion in gift card activations in 2015. And that is fucking crazy, dude. Fucking crazy. Crazy like the wolf.
Yeah, I got a bunch of other shit that I had written down to talk about tonight. So have you guys seen this this issue about this lady that lost her gold gym membership?
Yes.
Because she pointed out the fact that this guy, trans woman, which I don't even like saying that, but trans woman, was walking through the locker room with his dick hanging out. And
alien. That's what I like.
And come to find out,
call them aliens.
Come to find out, so I don't know that I wrote her name down. But Alexis Black, otherwise known as Grant Freeman, was in the women's locker room, and this lady protested. A black woman protested, and she made this big stink about this man walking around with his dick hanging out in women's spaces. And the woman lost her gym membership because she had a problem with this person, male person, right, in the women's locker room. Now, come to find out that Grant Freeman in 2022 pleaded guilty to DV, where
Domestic
he beat the
violence.
shit out. Right. So where he beat the shit out of his ex-wife, compound fractured her jaw, and by the way, what was that? What was his ex-wife's name? Alexis. So he actually took his beat up. He took his beat up ex-wife's name when he went trans.
Yeah, here's the video.
There are girls naked in there. Look at them walking in there like it's okay. It's not okay.
A popular singer-songwriter claims she was booted from a Gold's Gym in Los Angeles after getting into a heated car-on-camera confrontation with a transgender woman she had filed complaints against for using the women's locker room.
That's a man.
The controversy exploded when Tish Hyman posted a video of a brief shouting match with the transgender gym goer, who was dressed in all black and accessorized with a pair of dangling earrings.
No, now he knows how to be a man, right? Now he knows how to be a man. Stay out of the women's locker room. He needs to have his gym membership revoked for that.
Why is
And
that
the
with the
woman
men's
told
back?
you. He assaulted me. The girl told already. We already filed reports. You can't get rid of me for this. I'm a woman and I have every right to not want a man in the restroom when I'm naked. There are girls naked in there. Look at them walking in there like it's okay. It's not okay.
In her Instagram post, Hyman alleged to her two.
Hey, respect that. Respect to that. You stand on your business, no matter what.
No, that's the whole fight we had for 2 years back in 2020 and 2022. And then finally,
But when did that start, dude?
2020.
Obama.
No, I mean it did,
It
but
started
This is the
during
Overton
Obama.
window.
yeah,
It is. It is.
Yep.
It is
I see
Obama.
what you're talking about. Yeah,
So this is the Overton window. And so I was raised in a traditional Christian household. My father is a retired pastor. And when the Supreme Court legislated from the bench, which is not their job, and they said, hey, gay marriage is the law of the land. That day, I told my Christian pastor's wife, mother, it's not about gay marriage. It's not. It's about legalizing pedos.
yeah.
Oh,
That day,
oh,
okay?
oh, that's
Now-
a good point.
Oh my God. That's the Overton window, right? They're just moving it a little bit further.
Well, they're not
To the
pedos
left.
anymore. They're minor attracted persons.
Yeah, fuck off. They're pedos.
Oh my God!
But my point is,
What
my point is
insurance
this,
policy are they on? Anyway,
Right.
go ahead.
Right? But you see what I'm saying, right? That day. And what year was that?
That
Like
they were
20
a part of that 5% I told you, by the way.
Right. But you see what I'm saying, right? So it's not about what it is today. It's about moving the Overton window just a little bit further.
Yeah,
Right.
I can see that now.
And so the point is that all of this foolishness with Alexis Black, which I think is super ironic that he took the first name of his ex-wife that he beat the shit out of. That's super ironic.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is that it's really about turning what's normal into abnormal, and turning it's basically living in fucking clown world.
Yeah. Well, that's a good example, because my
That's
psychology
why we were all so pissed off with Trump, or
Yeah.
not or
With
prior
Biden,
to
yeah.
Trump. Yeah, with Biden, because we felt like we were living in clown world.
Yeah, we were being pushed.
Like,
That's what that's
not
what
normal. What are
we
you
try to.
talking
It's what we
about?
try to get a few people to understand that used to be on here that's not on here anymore. That it's just like it's not the fact of who you are or what you want to be, or if you want to be a furry, be a furry. If you want to be this, be that. But the fact of the matter is, or if you want to be a he, she, they, them, whatever.
It's the dogs, by the way.
They're out of water.
I'm just glad that my dog is in the other room and he's being quiet.
Come on, I'll get you in a minute. And she looks at me like, "Motherfucker, give me some water."
El agua, por favor.
But the fact of the matter is, it's like it's not the fact of the matter if you're a he, them, they, them, she, them. I don't give a shit what your pronouns are, whatever you want to identify. I don't care what you are. But if you want me to respect you in that aspect, then you need to wear a fucking name tag or something on your shirt saying this is what I identify as. Because if you look like a duck and quack like a duck and walk like a duck, you're a fucking duck. You know, it's plain and simple.
I am not going to capitulate to insanity.
Yeah.
That's just my thing, right? Number one, if you say I'm a they them, okay, number one, you are a singular person. I am not going to change the grammatical structure of the English language to accommodate your mental illness.
Yeah.
I'm just not going to do that. I'm just not going to do it.
And then the fact of the matter is it's like you want to. So it's just like you say, they always sit there and say, it's like, well, you don't respect me. And so it's like, well, you're not respecting me either as an individual with my own opinions and my own thoughts and my own perspectives on things. And if respect is a two-way street, you want respect, you're going to have to give respect. You know, I respect you as an individual, and if I understand what you're going through and blah, 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 that's fine. You know, it's just like we're talking about is like, you know, gays and lesbians and stuff like that. It's just like, yeah, you know, back in high school, you know, I come from a rural community and stuff like that. So that wasn't like a big thing to us. Our parents didn't like shun us from that type of stuff. I mean, you saw it on TV every once. Well, no, you didn't even really see it on TV, but
until Ellen kissed that
yeah
lady on freaking the Ellen show.
So then, I mean, you really weren't subjected to the ideology, or not really the ideology, but the choices, the gender choices that people made. And I don't have a problem. You know, in high school, we realized it's like we knew a few females that were, you know, lesbian. They didn't act out and they didn't, you know, do it publicly, but we knew, and it didn't bother me today. I still, you know, classify them as my friends because of the fact of the matter is because it doesn't bother me. Even when I used to go to the bars and stuff like that, you know, we had gay people in the bars. You know, they would come up and sit down and talk because a traditional gay person understand, they know when you're gay or when you're not gay, and they're not going to push their gayness on you.
Right. I've been to gay bars.
Yeah.
With friends, with gay friends, right? I have family members that are gay. I don't care who you sleep with. My big thing is don't fuck with the kids.
Yeah.
That's my big thing.
Yeah, it shouldn't be.
Do whoever you want to do. I don't care. I don't. And as a libertarian, that's for me, you know, freedom. And we'll get into this. We way don't have time for my freedom speech.
We can do it next week.
But yeah, but my point is that literally, I don't care. It's that you can't tell me to say, hey, look, you have to respect my version of reality. No. I don't.
And that's what, you know, that's what I try to tell people. I used to get in arguments.
I physically do not give a shit how you pretend to live.
I
live in reality. I don't need your
And don't
world.
force it. Don't force anything down anybody's throat because that's always going to go bad.
Go over to the AI rainbow. Okay, I don't need to listen to it.
Yeah, I mean,
I've always stated that.
I mean,
I've got into arguments and lost out on a lot of potential sponsorships for it. I don't care.
Yeah.
I tried.
Hey,
I tried to
speaking of-
understand. It's
Speaking
just
of sponsorships, is this podcast is not sponsored like the other podcast is sponsored, correct?
Yeah, the whole everybody is. It's under the umbrella of the Underground Studios. So,
Okay.
but I just haven't. I didn't want to. I haven't got. I got to make up some new promos and things like that, and I'm not gonna.
I was just wondering because I didn't see all the little flashy.
No.
this is the very first one. So.
Yeah. Once I get it, because I learned my lesson with sponsorships and promos and affiliates and all that shit a long time ago. It's just like the only reason why is because it's a friend of mine that owns the company, and
I'm about to go drop a bunch of money into that website.
Mine should be here. I think it said it was on its way, so it should be here in a couple of days.
I was like this close to pulling the trigger on some coffee cups.
Those are pretty cool coffee chips, though, aren't they?
Yeah.
Make sure you use code TUG.
Yeah, of course. The funny thing is I could probably get a bigger discount using my military. I think military, or there was a promo code or whatever. Like first time user.
Oh yeah, it does a little. Yeah, it does a little spin wheel and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, but I was like, yeah, no, X. I'll just go use promo code TUG.
Yeah, but if you guys are listening to this, and you want some good coffee and stuff like that. It's made 100% pure coffee. Fuels the underground and all the podcasts here. Go to fuckcoffee.shop and use code TUG. If you go to the website, there's a
name ever.
If you go to the website, rebelnationmedia.net, it's right there on the front page. So you can go there, click on that, and it'll take you straight to it. No, I'll start getting some branding and stuff like that on there for here once I get. We're trying to get a bigger deal going on. So because they promised in the conversations that we had in the beginning, we were basically promised to be in there. So in the end, But it was fun, interesting conversation. Yeah, there's a lot of shit. There's not enough. I mean, like I said, we've been on for 3 hours, and there is not enough time in the day to go over everything. I just know.
So much more to talk about. So little time to talk about it.
I just knew that the main factor was the whole social media. Oh, did you guys hear that Rockin' New Year's Eve is in Chicago this year?
Hey, I don't know, but that dog needs some water.
Yeah. So the whole Rockin' New Year's Eve that Dick Clark did, it's been in New York City for the last 40 years. It's actually
actually.
Huh? The big New Year's Eve, the big New Year's Eve thing that they have in New York City, where they watch the ball drop and they close off downtown Manhattan and everything else, and Times Square, but Dick Clark did it years ago, and then now Ryan Seacrest took it over, but it's still called Dick Clark's. And so they on November 9th, just a few days ago, they made the announcement that they're moving it to Chicago. So it's not going to be in New York City. They're gonna broadcast the ball drop, but they're going to their reasoning behind it was so that it could hit more of the Central Time Zone. I'm like, what the fuck ever? What so? Why are you doing it towards the Central Time Zone and not just like the Pacific Time Zone? Because
nobody gives a look. Nobody's watching it on Central Time.
Yeah.
Right. Whether you're watching it from fucking England or you're watching it from the Philippines or you're watching it from New York or California, you're watching it at 12 o'clock your time.
Yeah.
That's the dumbest thing ever.
So I think my reasoning and my opinion behind the whole thing is I think they're afraid of the crowds and the riots and the protests and everything else during it. So I think it's the reason why they're moving it to more, even though there's ICE protests down there, but I'm sure they'll probably take care of those. Will disappear just like when Newsom cleaned up the street when all of his investors came in. They cleaned up all the homeless. It'll be the same thing there. There won't be anything going on.
Well, for sure. Everything's healthy here in America.
Yeah, just like I said, the main part is like, man, it's just like, I don't care what you believe in, but this shit here with the social media manipulation, stuff like that, and that's been my focus this whole time. Once I started diving into it, I can rant on that by hours and hours about how this shit manipulates this crap out of us. But just pass the stream on, pass it everything else on, and
wait until I start talking about big banks, brother.
And then
big banks scam. New podcast.
That's his conversation.
No,
Yeah, we might have to do a financial. We might have to do a financial podcast.
Yeah, man. There's a lot to talk about, and whether it's conspiracy or realistic or just the lack of knowledge the American people have been provided. So there's a lot to talk about. That is why we started Rebel Outro. The narrative.
Oh, you done? Are we done?
I heard the outro.
Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. This here's the narrative, the Underground Network, and come back next Wednesday night. We'll have some more tantalizing conversations. Thank you, Mr. Lucky. Thank you, Mr. Frank. And my name is Rebel, and we'll see you next week.
All right. Hey, thank you.
Oh, wrong one. Wrong one.
You just have to flood a country's public square with enough raw sewage in order to weaken democratic institutions. Have to raise enough questions, spread enough dirt, plant enough conspiracy theorizing that citizens no longer know what to believe. Once they lose trust in their leaders, mainstream media, in political institutions, in each other, in the possibility of truth. The game's won.